Bim, 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 bim. Guess what? We're live on YouTube. It is exactly 8 o'clock on Saturday, the 25th of March 2023, and we're looking at the week's news. The week's news looks at, well, basically what's going on this week. So Putin, Rishi, Boris, Putin, gun crime, riots in France, American gun crime, MI5 agents, and considerably more stuff. So there is a lot of news this week to get through. Hopefully I can do it in less time than what I did it last week, which was 3.5 hours thereabouts. So, let's get started, shall we? Let's get ready, let's get ready to get started. Watch me click the thing, watch me click the thing, watch me click the thing, and then go, right. Vladimir Putin allegedly went to, where did he go, allegedly? He went to Mariupol. Was it? Yeah, Mariupol in Ukraine, allegedly. I say allegedly because there are people saying that isn't actually Vladimir Putin. That is one of his stand-ins, because he's got multiple stand-ins apparently. It was the first time he's visited Ukraine since the illegal invasion, and Ukrainians were saying that it's a war criminal going back to the scene of the crimes, particularly the theatre which got blown up with hundreds of people in it. We said last week he's been convicted, well, he's not been convicted, he's got a warrant out for his arrest for the international community for crimes against humanity. But whether he'll ever serve any time or even be arrested or even be questioned, no one knows. But we can keep our fingers crossed and everything else as well, and hope that he gets what he deserves. Meanwhile, the bizarre situation with Credit Suisse Bank following the evening, Ben, following the situation with the Silicon Valley Bank a week or two earlier. Credit Suisse went in a bit of a decline, and UBS Bank have bought them. Seems, I don't know, it all seemed very quick and very rushed. Ed Davis, who? Yeah, I know. He's the Liberal Democrat leader, and I'll be honest with you, he makes Keir Starmer look like, I don't know, some outgoing TV presenter, as in, you know, like, oh, look at me, wee, like, oh, he's so boring. He says Liberal Democrats will get back what? With Europe. Oh, get back working with Europe and sort out the NHS and, you know, reduce crime and all the other nonsense that they come out with when they have absolutely no chance of getting any power. You can say whatever you want, basically. The highlight for my day was the Grand Prix, where Alonso, he was doing like one of the biggest comebacks in the history of Formula One, as far as I'm aware. Basically was in third place. He'd served a 5-second penalty in the pits for an earlier indiscretion. Still managed to get into third place with George Russell in fourth place. On the podium, not hours, but laps and laps and laps after they'd served the time penalty, the stewards decided to give Alonso a 10-second penalty for not serving the first penalty correctly whilst he's on the podium. So he got his third place taken away from him. The trophy was given to George Russell because he was less than 10 seconds behind Alonso. Alonso's like, well, you know, it's racing, what happens, you know, blah, blah, blah. But they did submit an appeal, and George Russell posted an Instagram of him holding the trophy saying, it's nice to have this, but he doesn't think he deserves it. But, you know, a win's a win, a third place is a third place, whatever. And then a few hours later, the stewards decided, you know what, no, he didn't serve it incorrectly after all, so they give it him back. But by then, the trophy was already with George Russell. It was on an aeroplane flying back to the UK. So George Russell, later on in the week, did a video where he's polishing the third place trophy on a sofa, I assume at the headquarters of Mercedes in the UK, asking where Alonso's home address is so we can send it to him. And then someone comes down the stairs, Russell gives it to him, the guy gets in the car, and then you follow the car driving, like I do when I do my driving videos, all the way to the Aston Martin. Say all the way, it's not that far, to the Aston Martin place, and then they walk in and give the trophy back, which I thought was very sporting and a bit of good fun as well. We like that. Penalised for the jack touching the car. Yeah, that's what they got done for. But like Alonso said, it's all well and good saying that, but that was 35 laps from the end of the race. So why did they only make a decision when the trophies were being given out? I mean, not only had the race finished, they don't get the trophies like that. There's a bit of stuff goes on in between. You do the interviews, don't they, with the top three. Then they go into the cool down room, they have a little chat, and they wipe themselves down and have a drink or whatever. And then they come out and get the trophy. So we're talking a considerable length of time, and they all just got round to sorting it out while he's on the while he's on the podium with the trophy, and then completely mess it up by then giving it back again. But anyway, that's Formula One for you, isn't it? It's run by. Anyway, hiya Annie, hope you're good. Monday. I knew I'd catch him having a few tipples at home. Didn't see that, Elder. I like George Russell, seems a decent guy. Yeah, George Russell was really, really good with the sportingness of it. I like George Russell a lot. I like a lot of the new guys who've come through, to be fair. I think this generation, they get it. They get that they're in a privileged position. They get that they do stuff that none of us can even dream about doing. And they enjoy themselves, and they get social media as well. So you've got Lando Norris, you've got George Russell, you've got Alex Albon, all of whom started at the same season and did that fabulous skit in a cabin about who was the best driver. If you haven't watched it, you've got to watch it. It was the novice season roundup or something like that it was called. It's hilarious. But then you've also got Charles Leclerc, you've got Max Verstappen, you've got what's he called? That little Japanese guy. I think he's amazing as well. But they're just funny, and I love it. I just love the fact, okay, I'm on a yacht, I'm living Monaco, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing the other. But yeah, there you go. I mean, I am. I'm glad to see you. Nice to see you. Or how nice to see you. To see you. Nice. Yes, you got it right. I only just woke up from afternoon kip. I blame you, Elder. I was up watching you until on GTA till 4 a.m. I must admit, yeah, I didn't realise how late it was. I was actually enjoying myself. I haven't played it for a few days, GTA, and I was enjoying myself. So yeah, it was all good. Anyway, we've spent far too long on Monday. Oh God. Okay. Far too long on Monday. We need to go. Sorry, Sunday. We need to go to Monday. I've been watching Drive to Survive. I've watched them all this when they come up because I didn't know how long I'd have access, so I just went straight for it. Climate crisis report came out from the IPCC. There's lots of I's and C's and things like that. The climate report described as a survival guide. And said that we need to do a lot by 2030. 1.5 degrees centigrade target will be missed, but it's not too late. I mean, basically it is too late. You just look at the weather all over the world and it's absolutely bonkers. Talking of bonkers, President Xi and President Putin met up in Russia, because obviously Putin's not allowed to leave Russia now because he'll get arrested. Yeah, they did these weird photo opportunities like they do when you're rich. Just reading that Belarus have allowed Russia to store nukes in their country. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Belarus is still quite close to. I mean, there are a few of them East European countries that are still very close to Russia. It's good news if you use the railways, which I don't. But Network Rail. Unions have agreed a pay rise and putting it to their members to vote on, but not RMT members who have their dispute with the rail operators. 20 years ago on Monday, from I mean, we talk about war crimes that Putin's doing in Russia, not in Russia. Well, yeah, but in Ukraine. But let's be honest, America and Britain, 20 years ago on Monday, started committing war crimes ourselves, which was the starting the Iraq War illegally, invading a country illegally, killing civilians, killing many people illegally, destabilising the country illegally, which has left the country, as we know, in a hell of a state. And I'll be honest with you, we should not have even thought about going into Iraq. Absolute joke. And yeah, I don't understand how President Bush and Tony Blair are not in prison for war crimes, because that's basically what they did. It was disgusting. Even at the time, I was like, what are we doing? The problem you've got is the civilization itself started in the Middle East. It didn't start in Europe. And although we look at the way some countries run, the way they do things, it's worked for them for millennia, i.e. centuries and centuries and centuries. And then we go in and try and make it into a democracy by illegally invading them. I know you don't probably want to know my Uncle Dave has to have checks. Oh. You can broadcast it here, yeah. Well, wish him all the best from me, definitely. But yeah, war crimes in Iraq, and yeah, things are still going on. Another anniversary, a much sadder anniversary, was the 30th anniversary from the IRA bombing in Warrington in Cheshire, in the town centre, which killed Jonathan Ball and Tim Parry, a 3-year-old and a 12-year-old, who were out shopping for Mother's Day presents for their mums and never returned. Not the worst crime that the IRA did by a long way, but certainly the nearest one and tragic one to us. And there was a memorial in Warrington on Monday, which was attended by the then Prime Minister. What's he called? What was he called? John Major. He came as well, which I thought was really nice. I haven't got a picture of it because I missed it when I was doing my thing, but there's an appeal went out as well on Monday for the return of a shark's head. Basically, a shark had washed up on a beach in the UK, and scientists were very excited. They went to recover the body, and that's all there was left, the body. Someone had chopped off the head and took the head, chopped off the fins, the dorsal fins and the tail, and just left the body. So they're asking for the head and the tails to be returned so they can do tests, and then whoever's got them can have them back again. But they just want to do tests on them. I mean, yeah, only in Britain. Good evening, Marty Hopkirk. We're now on Tuesday. Tuesday was a fun day because we found out something that we already knew, which is the Met Police is institutionally racist, sexist, misogynic, homophobic, and basically not fit for purpose. We've known that for a long while. I'm not saying they're the only police force that are not great. I think the police has just been very slow at catching up with the rest of the world. Many officers should be removed, not just in the Met, but all over the country in different police sets. One thing we did remove, rather brazenly, was a certain Boris Johnson, whom, in a letter, accepted he misled Parliament over Partygate, but he didn't do it deliberately. But tomorrow, which would be Wednesday, he was going to face a parliamentary committee. Meanwhile, Putin warns the UK not to supply Ukraine with weapons with depleted uranium in them. Otherwise, Putin and Russia will have to step up, whatever it is they're going to step up against the United Kingdom. Bearing in mind, they can't even step up in Ukraine. I don't think we need to be too threatened by them. And President Xi is still in on Tuesday in Russia at this time. There was no real response. Depleted uranium is not what you think it is. It's not nuclear weapons. It is a way of projecting a weapon, producing it to go. Well, a bit like gunpowder type stuff, but it's not nuclear at all. That's why it's called depleted uranium, not uranium. Not that uranium on its own is a nuclear weapon either. But anyway, Putin got a bit upset. Absolutely horrendous situation where a gentleman was coming home from a mosque after prayers, and he was set alight. Basically, someone sprayed him with an accelerant and then set it alight. There was another, I think this was in Birmingham, there was another attack a couple of weeks ago in London that I was not aware of. I mean, there's no place for anything like that. We can agree and disagree with people, but you do not go to such extreme lengths. Anyway, they've arrested a gentleman for doing it, and he's been charged, but he's been charged with both counts, the one in Birmingham and the one in London as well, so hopefully justice will be done. Meanwhile, in Scotland, SSE have announced plans for a massive brand new hydroelectric power station, which I think is a good idea, because electric power is needed all the time, and the problem you've got is, I've said this millions of times, the problem you've got is it's not windy all the time, it's certainly not sunny all the time, ergo solar and wind power is great, but it's not the answer. The answer is nuclear and the Scottish Hydro and other things similar as well. So hopefully it gets sorted, gets itself off the ground, and we can enjoy the pleasure of cheaper, reliable energy. Am I holding my breath? Am I hell as like? Lecky power, yeah. Boris, woohoo! Boris swore by Almighty God to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as he was questioned by lots of other MPs in a parliamentary office, surrounded by lots of the media as well, as you can see in the background. He again said he did not lie to the House over Partygate, and basically what he said at the time he thought was the right thing, and basically he was on the whole, but he lied. He was there for 3 hours, which is probably the only punishment he's going to get, being sat in a room for 3 hours, being torn into by various other people. Meanwhile, important stuff was going on in the House of Commons. That is the Parliament in Northern Ireland. It's called Stormont. Currently, there's no one sitting there because of the Brexit protocol, which seems to be causing a few issues at the moment for the DUP in particular. But the Brexit, oh, it's gone now. That the protocol, Northern Ireland protocol, has gone. It's now replaced by the Windsor Initiative or whatever it's called. But anyway, it's been voted through. So whoopity whoopity whoopity. Someone who didn't vote it through though was Boris Johnson, and his another former Prime Minister, her with the beads, whose name I've forgotten now, Theresa May. She also voted against it. Only 20 odd people voted against it. Everyone else who were there voted for it. Hopefully it will help the situation in Northern Ireland, and to be fair, between Northern Ireland, Europe, UK, Europe, and England, Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. So yeah, fingers crossed. Meanwhile, food prices are shooting up. You don't have to tell me about that. I've mentioned it a few times in different places, including on here. How much stuff has gone up. I mean, it is not small amount. Items have gone up in one lump by 50p or 20p, or, as I said, cat litter. My cat will only have white cat litter, and when it's not white anymore, she won't use it. She'll hold on to her poo until she explodes if I don't change that litter. So I have to buy cat san, and that was £7 a bag. Not anymore. It's gone up by £2 a pop. Little steak puddings, spray bento steak puddings, were £2 each. Now £2.50. But guess what? At Tesco, if you've got a club card, they're £2 again. Whoa! Think of the savings you can make. That's what they were before. Do you think we're daft? Anyway, food prices going up, not helped by the weather in particularly Spain and Morocco, where fruit crops, i.e. tomatoes and lettuce and stuff like that, haven't been growing because the weather's been too cold, damp, wet, miserable. So they're not producing anywhere near enough, but everyone still wants the same amount, so everyone is basically outbidding each other, which means by the time it gets over here or in Europe or wherever it is, it's considerably more than what it was a few months ago. Anyway, that's enough of that. Meanwhile, in Edinburgh, that's a whoopsie, isn't it? A ship has tipped over in dry dock. Basically, dry dock is where they put the ship in. It's a massive hole near the water. They close the gate, they pump all the water out, they prop up the ship with loads of wood and various other things, because obviously ships are shaped like that. They don't have a flat bottom. So they prop it up with bits of wood and various metal and other bits and pieces. But somehow, in strong winds, this one's tipped over. Quite a few people were taken to hospital because they were inside the ship at the time, and they kind of got thrown against walls and downstairs and all that kind of thing. So hopefully no serious injuries. But yeah, I think someone's going to have to answer some questions as to how a ship ended up tilting on its side, because that's not good. The RMT finally say that they're going to suspend strikes and look at a new pay deal. Whether they do or not is another thing, whether they accept it, but they're all a bit greedy, aren't they, at the moment? Cats are so fussy. That's a massive job, I imagine. It's the first What a Week I've watched this year proper. Oh good, I thought I hadn't seen you around for a while. Hopefully it's moved on a little bit. Every week it gets a little bit better. This is Peter Brown. He was a flight sergeant in the RAF in World War II. And he basically came over from Jamaica, did a bit of lying to get on to the training of the RAF pilots, and then flew a number of missions to Germany and Lancaster bombers, the dam busters and all that kind of thing. And I think he's the actual last surviving dam buster, or certainly one of the last surviving. However, sadly he's passed away. No family, never got married, never had kids. So there was an appeal put out for family, and apparently it's been said today that many people have wanted to pay their respects to someone they didn't know, that they're having to relocate the funeral to a bigger church, which I think is brilliant. I think people who fought for us in the Second World War in particular, and to be fair, if they've ever joined the army, deserve all the respect that they can get. So fair play, and rest in peace, Peter Brown. Meanwhile, Rishi taking it easy, having sorted out the Windsor thingamabob, and watching Boris, no doubt, squirm in a chair in another room. He ended up playing cricket with various members of the England cricket team, including the women's team and the men's team, as before they go off and cover our country. I'll stop chatting. I think you're basically pre-recording. Sorry, proper ruining the show, man. No, you're not. I like interaction. You might not be in sequence with where I'm up to, but yeah, I want people to interact. You can either agree with me, disagree with me, have some thoughts on something. That's what this is about. It's an interactive new show. It's also a bit what's the word I'm looking for? Alternative. What I didn't know this time last week was, well, not quite this time last week, but Wigan Watch got a mention on Talk TV on a programme called What a Walk That Was. You may have seen it in Wigan Watch, and you may have seen it in my vlog. And apparently they loved my response, which was the pies video I did in the Wigan Watch as well. So anyway, Thursday came, and something cropped up. Yeah, it was interest rates. They've gone to 4.25%. Well, in December 2021, they were 0.1%. So the interest on my mortgage has gone up 5 times since the rises and obviously I'm behind with the mortgage because, you know, I had the business not doing very well for a few years, so I got really behind. So yeah, it's not good at all, unless you're a saver, in which case it's brilliant. I will admit I rarely watch Wigan Watch, not because of anything, I just don't have anything to do with it. No, you don't live in Wigan, I'll be honest with you. Which is why I put it in the vlog as well, because I thought it was interesting to put it in the vlog as well as. Junior doctors want a 35% pay rise. They say that they're not going to have further talks with the government unless the government basically offer them 35%. Now, I'm not remotely questioning what the doctors do and that they are underpaid, but dear God, 35%, taking the mickey when we're on a borderline of a recession. Yeah, I have no sympathy for the junior doctors at all. If they were a bit more realistic, then yeah, that'd be fine. But 35%, you're taking the mickey, and they say, oh well, we've lost our wages because we've not had pay rises for so long. Yeah, they've just seen an opportunity that when the RMT and other nurses unions and all that kind of thing are on strike, that they can come out on strike as well. Why didn't you strike years ago? Why didn't you go for a pay rise when the country had money, you know, before COVID and all that kind of thing? And they put up the claps don't pay our wages. Yeah, well, I won't be clapping for you again either. So, you. Sorry, I get really angry. I like Wigan Watch just for the intro. It sticks in their head. People hate the intro. If you look at some of the comments, oh, the intro is absolutely hated. The one I did last year where I just kept the camera scrolling up and different images coming down gives some people vertigo, which I thought was incredibly. I've watched a few, and my Uncle Alan always says Wigan is a ghost town. Yeah, but I've been to towns where they're not ghost towns. In fact, I was in one yesterday, which I'm currently rendering at the moment, which is why this video might be skipping a little bit because the computer's doing a lot. And that was Sale, and yeah, that was an amazing town. There was a little bit of area that was a bit run down, but I mean, it was like tucked away. It was well away from the thing, but the main town centre itself saw one empty shop unit. One. Unbelievable. Protests in France over Macron's pension reform. Basically, Macron, the president of France, has said that people will have to work now until the age of 64 rather than 62. But he's not put it to Parliament in France. He's just basically said that's what we're doing. So everyone's gone out on strike, and yeah, they've got a bit mad. So Keir Starmer says he will cut crime. It's one of his missions. Crime cutting in half, violent crime and rapes. He's going to completely get rid of them all as well. And you're like, well, how are you going to do that then? And he says, well, we've got this money we're going to get from these big companies that we're going to tax, like the energy companies and things like that. And all the same money you're going to use for all the other reforms you're coming up with, your absolute wet lettuce. Which reminds me, if you take the lettuce that was used for how soon we forget, not Theresa May, the other one, Liz Truss. If you take the lettuce from Liz Truss and then just pour a jug of water on it, you've got Keir Starmer. I mean, literally, absolute joke of a man. What worries me is he's going to get in because he's not a Tory, and the Tories have absolutely messed up. Mainly Liz Truss. I think Rishi's doing a lot better. But yeah, episode warning on the background indeed. Yes. So yeah, Keir Starmer, absolute plonker. Talking of which, TikTok, CEO at a congressional committee in America, TikTok says it's not a threat to security, it's not owned by China, the government, and they do not give any information that they take off people to the Chinese government. Now, me and you, I couldn't care less what the Chinese government see that I get up to. In fact, if I knew they were looking at all my pictures, I'd give them something to look at, I tell you. But it's obviously governments around the world, governments are saying now that they don't want TikTok on devices used for government business. But I wouldn't say TikTok, I'd say any app, because any app you've got looks at your photos if you give it permission, looks at your text messages, looks at your browsing history, looks at everything. All your intimate stuff that you look at on your phone is being monitored and looked and analysed by your apps on your phone, and then it's sending some information out to different people, and then your advertising is linked to what you have been looking at or watching or Googling or whatever. It's all monitored on there. So yeah, if you're a government person, if I had a phone that was a government phone or even a council phone, I wouldn't put any apps on it at all, because there could be stuff on there that's sensitive that can be viewed at by an app that I don't even know is looking at it, because who reads all that reams and reams of crap that you just click agree to all? I don't agree to all now. If I go onto a website, I go to reject all. If there's no reject all, I back out of the website and don't even look at it. That's what I do. I'm blaming me for the rising cost of living. Thank you. When that guy said don't eat your burger like that, you have to cut it out, and I actually cut it out. So funny, cracked me up. Keir Starmer doesn't even know what a woman is. Proper Tory. I'm not a proper Tory. I'm just saying that Keir Starmer will get in because he's not a Tory, and that's not a reason to vote someone as Prime Minister. Top Gear producers say they're not continuing in filming the new series after the Freddie Flintoff crash in December. Apparently, Freddie Flintoff was in one of them three-wheel and Morgan cars that you may have seen occasionally. I think they have two wheels at the front, one wheel at the back, two seats. And he was driving around and it's rolled over, and though he had a helmet on, he got facial injuries, cracked some ribs, and was airlifted to hospital. And rumours are he doesn't want to go back to Top Gear. But I must admit, Top Gear's never been the same since the three amigos left. But I mean, they could have been there forever, Jeremy and co. I mean, they're getting on a bit now. And these three, I thought, were actually off decent. They were beginning to gel into something that's worth watching. But anyway, it looks like that might be the end of Top Gear forever. Which would be sad, although we've still got all the repeats, and I watch the repeats quite regularly, to be fair, mainly because they're on all the fucking time. So that was Turds Day, as we like to call it. Next up is what comes after Thursday. Ooh, let me think. Friday. It's Granville. Fetch me cloth. Fetch your cloth. Fetch your cloth, Granville. Yeah, Friday. What happened on a Friday? King Charles III, still weird saying King Charles, he's cancelled or postponed his visit to France due to the fact that there are, well, basically riots going on all over France. There's been more today in even different places over different things. It's got to be said, the French public do seem to like a good riot. They do seem to like a good blockade as well, don't they, when they're upset about something. You know, they block the harbours and they do all this, that and the other. They like civil disruption in France, it has to be said. And you can't blame them for that. I mean, the French, for God's sake, you know. I'm sure they hate themselves as much as we hate them. I'm lying, of course. No one could. Bank shares in Europe fell drastically, including Deutsche Bank. Now, there's a possibility that Deutsche Bank might go the way of Credit Suisse. But we'll have to wait and see, because obviously we're at the weekend now and not a lot happens during the weekend. The Israeli PM visited London and met Rishi, and Rishi actually had a go at him over human rights and all that kind of thing, but there were more protests going on than there had been for any other leader visit for a considerable length of time. I can't talk for you being chairman, but I wish I'd have been there to you talk sense, and there's loads of little self-entitled kids here when really it's a banger track. I've been around for 15 years, well, at least 18. Yeah, well, I did talk sense and I listened to everyone and weighed up what they said, and then I went with what I thought was a good decision. I don't care who you were, you get treated the same. Unlike in Russia, where this young girlie, who's 13, although she was 12 at the time, she drew a picture with her mum and herself in Ukraine, holding her hand up to stop the rockets coming over. They are rockets, they're not what you think you are, you dirty minded people. They are rockets coming over from Russia. You've got the Russian flag, you've got the Ukraine flag, and it says something to like peace for Ukraine, stop the war, or no more war on the Russian flag as well. The school reported the picture to the police in Russia. The police have then come to the house and taken the girl and put her into care, and now have got the dad under house arrest for bringing up his child in the wrong way, and not immoral, but in the wrong way of thinking that, you know, we shouldn't be going to war with. I mean, Jesus Christ, Russia, what the hell is up with you? It's a 13-year-old girl draws a picture that you don't agree with, so you basically put her into care. It's yeah. They reported her as not supporting the war. That was the official term that they come up with. Now, everyone's favourite speeder, Andy Burnham, has been releasing or showing people some of the new buses that are coming out, which is the B network, it's called, and everything's colour-tied. Obviously, the worker bee is the symbol of Manchester. You see it everywhere when you're in Manchester. Lots of people had tattoos on their wrists and on their arms after the arena bombing. It is a symbol. You see it on the back of cars and all that kind of thing. So they've kind of gone with the B network, which makes sense. It's a Greater Manchester thing. And they're tying it in with the trams, the buses, you've got the bikes, the scooters that you can hire, all that kind of thing. They're all colour coded the same. They're all going to be under one umbrella, and you're like, yeah, it sounds good, sounds great. But the public transport is shocking. I tried to get to Sale yesterday, and it took me four buses to get to Sale. I mean, you know, it's mad. To be fair, I could have done it in 3 buses. You know, it could have been 4 or 5 buses, but I could have done it in 3 buses if I'd have actually checked. You know, but I didn't. I just kind of got buses assuming that if we got to place A, I'd be able to get to Sale, but no. If we got to place B, no. Yeah, so absolute joke at the moment, the network. And there's no bus from Wigan to Manchester either. So yeah, I don't think... I think it's a good idea, but it needs a lot more work. It needs someone to actually sit down and say, right, this is what we need to do. Anyway, Saturday came. It's still here. It's Saturday. What's been going on today? Well, there's been a horrendous tornado in Mississippi, which is not really known for its tornadoes. Massive one. It's left over 100 miles worth of damage, and we don't know exactly how many people have been injured or worse, but it is going to be substantial. It's also revealed today that a former MFI spy said he helped the Good Friday Agreement with solving most of the problems in Northern Ireland by illegally disobeying government instruction and meeting up with the IRA and brokering a sort of deal, which you got to say fair play. We only know him as Robert, which is a bit weird, hiding his name, because you think about it, the IRA knew he is because he went and had meetings with them. Anyway, Liz Truss, yeah, I know, we soon forget. She's entered a resignation honours list, apparently, despite the fact she was only Prime Minister for 7 weeks. When you're a Prime Minister, when you leave the position for whatever reason, I assume excluding death, if you leave the position, you are entitled to have your last selection of names for people to become MBEs, CBEs, Sirs, Dames, all that kind of thing. And despite the fact she was only there for less than 7 weeks, she thinks that she can do it as well. Talk about misleaded. So yeah, that was the week news in the UK. But we don't just do the UK, because that would be boring. What we do is we do the whole world. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you La 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 America, Dum Dum America. Bad news took a wagon of 6 cars, so I can tip it to you really. Do I get more race engines and Facebook pictures? Yep, you're right, everything's changed. What were you doing when the Manchester airport bombing happened back in '96? What was the reaction in the northwest? It wasn't at Manchester airport, it was in Manchester city centre, the shopping centre. It was on, I think it was Market Street. And where I did it on one, if you go on one of the bus journeys I did, it might be the first one I did last year, it could be the second one. But I actually walk through where the bomb went off, and I'll show you the post box that's still there. And where the post box is, if that was the road where the bomb went off and the post box is here, I actually worked here on the other side of the road in what was then Top Man. But I worked at the back where all, you know, they sell all the tat, all the stuff you put in toilets so men are lame for it when they're having a wee rather than pee on the seat or whatever. And you know, stupid little games and things like that. Well, that's where I worked, and that was as near as you can get in Top Man to where the bomb went off. But it was my day off, and they did evacuate everyone from the area before the bomb went off. But I have to admit, I've only recently started going back to Manchester again since then. Many things came along that kept me away from Manchester. But yeah, I've only just started going back to Manchester, and like I say, it was 25 years ago. Just grabbing some food. Are you gaming later? I'm not so sure, Ben. I'll watch this later. No worries. You take care. See you in a bit. Don't forget, you can join in the chat. That's what we do this for, so you can chat as well. You can voice your opinion or whatever. So, we're now in the US of A. And we look at the news, which sadly always includes mass shootings of one kind or another. It's either mass individual shootings, i.e. lots of individual shootings, or 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 people are all shot at or injured or killed or whatever, and it happens every week. And every week we say the same thing: America, sort your gun laws out. It only happens in America because America, I don't know, it's like they don't care. Anyway, the sad news is, the first story we're going to get on with is actually a gun crime story. As you can see there, one fatally shot in New York City smoke shop, a robbery gone bad. Smoke shop is a vape shop. So it's, yeah, they're everywhere in the UK at the moment. And I think vaping is one of the most dangerous things in the world ever. People say, well, it's better than smoking. No, it's not better than smoking. I mean, smoking is dangerous, yeah, but you're putting all these chemicals into your lungs that you picked up for £1 off a market stall. I mean, come on. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. This is a tragic case of a person was killed during a robbery gone bad inside a Queens smoke shop, vape shop. The deadly episode unfolded inside the Plug Smoke Shop, a CBD and THC dispensary, shortly after noon on Saturday. Police responding to a call of shots fired found a 20-year-old worker with gunshot wounds to his chest. The mortally wounded man was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Horrendous. There is more about that very shortly. Russian bill would require more to serve in military by raising age of draft eligibility. America, we crazy. Yeah, I'm not going to go at the common everyday Americans. I'm not going to go at the people who run America, I'll be honest with you. And obviously the NRA. I mean, you know, they're like Putin with rifles, aren't they? Let's be honest. Eligibility. Russia is poised to raise the age of men eligible to be drafted for military service, a sign of Moscow is likely expects the war in Ukraine to drag on. Andriy Kartopolov introduced a bill this week that would shift the draft eligible age bracket, raising the age 21 to 30 up from the current 18 to 27. The bill, however, mandates 2 transition years. So yeah, basically they're saying that you can be drafted into the army up to the age of 30. To be fair, in the UK it's up to the age of 40. So maybe it's not as bad as we thought. Or it used to be anyway. I don't know if it still isn't. I don't know if you can still get drafted in. I think you can. Because I was a bit scared when the Falklands War was on that I was going to get drafted. And I'm like, what do I know about firing a gun and hiding in swamp bogs in the middle of nowhere looking at penguins and dodging Argentinian bullets? Anyway, it never happened, thank God. Harry and Meghan's demands could create chaos at Charles's coronation. Well, there's an easy solution to that, which is 1, shut up Harry, and 2, don't come. Anguished mum of New York City smoke shop victim, why did I let him work there? The heartbroken mum of a 20-year-old Queen's smoke shop worker gunned down during a botched robbery says she didn't know his job made him a target for armed thugs. She told the Post on Sunday that she's still in shock over the senseless shooting death of her son. Well, it was the day before, so she would be. The latest violent attack in the Big Apple, at a Big Apple smoke shop. Apparently, well, we know already that vape shops seems to be popular targets for gun crime for some reason. A massive seaweed bloom starts washing ashore in Florida beaches. A massive build-up of seaweed that scientists have tracked for months have started to wash ashore on the Sunshine State, with experts warning that the worst could still be ahead. Reports from Key West, Florida, Lauderdale and other South Florida communities show dumps of brown seaweed piled up along what is usually white sandy beaches. Oh, poor rich people. You gotta feel for them, haven't you? Strange lights above the Northern California were likely space junk. A most peculiar sight lit up the sky on Friday evening. Video shared on social media, etc., showed a parade of strange lights slowly streaking across the sky. It was posted on Twitter as well. The caption says it was spotted around 9:30 p.m. Turns out it was just space junk re-entering Earth, which, let's be honest, we've been putting stuff up in space for that long around the planet. It's amazing we can actually fly anything out of it without hitting any of them. I can imagine we're just surrounding ourselves. Maybe we should keep doing that, just send loads and loads and loads of crap up there, and that'll slow the sun getting to the Earth, which means that global warming will slow down. Sorted it. Planet. Just send stuff into space, send junk into space, send bodies into space, send cars when they instead of scrapping them, send them into space. We'll build this protection around us, and the sun won't be able to get to us, and we can not worry about global warming anymore. Yeah, the most stupid idea ever, but someone will probably mention it somewhere. Bristol gunfire outside Bronx Hall kills one man and wounds another. A man was killed in a Bristol gunfire that left a second man wounded outside a Bronx banquet hall on Sunday. A group of people were standing in front of the hall when someone fired into the crowd about 1:50 a.m. A 21-year-old was struck twice in the chest, and a 22-year-old was shot once in the buttocks. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of buttocks shooting going on in America at the minute as well. I mean, sadly, someone's died, but I think we covered 2 buttock shootings last week. We've had 3 now in 2 weeks. Talking of buttocks, Putin visits Mariupol as part of surprise tour of occupied Ukraine. But was that Putin? President Vladimir Putin, or his double, made a surprise weekend visit to the war-ravaged port of Mariupol, state media reported. The Kremlin leader's first trip, allegedly, to the Russian-occupied territories of Ukraine Donbas region since the conflict began. The visit came after Putin allegedly travelled to Crimea on Saturday in an unannounced visit to mark the 9th anniversary of Russia's illegal annexation of the peninsula from Ukraine. I'm always on a Saturday at 8 p.m. But it's nice to have you, Angela. We're in your favourite bit anyway, which is America. A carjacker tries to escape cops on a skateboard after ditching a stolen truck. Not even a joke. Forget a getaway car. A man wanted for carjacking tried to flee from police on a skateboard in Los Angeles last month, in footage released by police this week. Pedro can be seen abruptly jumping out of a stolen pickup truck, holding a skateboard after losing control of the vehicle in a police chase. Half a dozen cop cars who had pursued him in the erratic and dangerous 6 a.m. chase then had their chance to apprehend him. So yes, carjacker. I know what I'll do. I'll escape these cop cars on my skateboard. 1 dead, 1 hurt in shooting during Miami Beach spring break. A gunfire erupted in an area in Miami Beach crowded with people on spring break, killing 1 person, wounding another, and sending dozens scrambling for safety. 2 males were shot on Friday night, and 1 person was detained at the scene. The Miami Beach Police Department tweeted. It wasn't clear if the person being held was the shooter. Police also said 3 guns were recovered. Normally I get notifications, but tonight I didn't. Oh, it doesn't matter. You found us now. It's fine. It's fine. Guns again, yeah. And Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle and Princess Beatrice could be harbouring secret friendship. So Meghan Markle, the Yoko Ono of the royal family, and Princess Beatrice, the daughter of an alleged pedo, are becoming friends. Care? Not me. Let's move on. One dead, one shot after armed robber from Idaho takes hostage in Montana. One person was killed, another injured on Saturday in an armed robbery hostage situation that spanned 2 western states. A male suspect on the run from Idaho rushed into a Montana rest stop and grabbed a hostage when confronted by cops. The unidentified man pushed his hostage to the ground and fired 2 shots at their victim. Unbelievable. But in America, this is normal. Mr. Morris, if you're still there, is this not normal? Do they even report this on the local news when people get shot anymore? I mean, over here they do. It's like news for a year if someone gets shot around here. City Council seeking to overhaul scaffolding abuse in New York City. Yeah, it's a terrible thing in New York City. Basically, what people are doing is they're abusing scaffolding. They take a massive drill bit with a quite a sizable hole and then drill a hole into the scaffolding pole, and then you don't want to know what they do. So the New York City government is trying to stop the abuse of scaffolding. At least I think that's what the story is. It's not really normal. I mean, I've never seen a shooting. Wow! Let's hope we haven't jinxed you, mate. Amid surging homicides in New Orleans, this woman is often one of the first on the scene. And that's like, you're the first on the scene of multiple homicides? You're always here when someone's been homicided? Maybe we can solve the gun crime or homicide crime in New Orleans by simply arresting this woman. But no. More than 50 people have been killed in New Orleans since the year began. Tamir Jackson is dispatched to most homicide scenes, but focuses on the family. She actually works for the authorities. Again, another slightly misleading line. Hi Luke, fairly new to the channel, but enjoy Wigan Watch and watch both of the feature-length episodes this morning. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate that. They were long, weren't they? We did the one with Luke and Peter, and then I did one with Sarah last week. I did do one this week. But yeah, it's all good. Got to keep in mind we have like 50 million people. I know, that's the argument that I knew we'd get thrown at, which is why I always say, let's not just talk about the UK, let's talk about the whole of Europe, and then let's chuck in Scandinavia, including Iceland, and then we'll go maybe down to North Africa, and all them, and just see where we're at with gun crime compared to America. And yeah, okay, South Africa, completely different kettle of fish, and South America, completely different kettle of fish as well. But no, I'm not having a go. I'm not saying that these figures are bad compared to England. I'm saying these figures are bad compared to pretty much the rest of the Northern Hemisphere, Western Northern Hemisphere. You know, Canada, and even Canada. Yeah, look at Canada. So yeah, but I'm not having a dig at Americans. Well, I am, obviously, but I'm not agreeing. I'm not saying that. St. Louis workers would be carjackers run away on foot after victim refuses to give up keys and they shot him in the leg. Missouri man was shot in the left leg after refusing an order from 2 would-be carjackers to surrender his vehicle in St. Louis. Yeah, but they didn't use a skateboard, they ran off. And guess what? They're still being looked for by the police. So there you go then. If you get a skateboard, use your legs. North Korea launches ballistic missiles with 500-mile range as US South Korea conducts drills. What could possibly go wrong? Hi, Smiley back. Hope you're good. Seoul in North Korea launched a short-range ballistic missile towards the sea on Sunday. Its neighbours said ramping up tension activities in response to ongoing US-South Korean military drills. I mean, basically, this is just heading for a war, isn't it? And I can imagine it's going to be nuclear if North Korea's got some nuclear capabilities, which I'm not so sure about. Military pilots and ground crews showing high rates of cancer, a Pentagon study reveals. High rates of cancer among military pilots has been discovered by a Pentagon study, and for the first time it's been shown that ground crews that fuel, maintain and launch these aircraft are getting sick as well. They're not exactly sure why this is the case. Whether it's to do with the fuel, because I know they say don't sniff petrol. I know people don't, but you do. You have a little when you're filling up. But yeah, don't really sniff petrol because that can be carcinogenic as well. So maybe because they're always around fuel and they're always refueling planes and all that kind of thing, then maybe that's what it is. But anyway, hopefully they get to the bottom of it and hopefully can reduce the risk to people working on the planes. I'm doing it okay, thank you, Smiley Mac. Inside Putin's surprise tour of Mariupol crime scene. A day after he was charged with war crimes by the International Criminal Court, Russian President Vladimir Putin's defiant midnight propaganda tour of Mariupol drew scathing criticism from Ukraine's leaders, who noted a criminal always returns to the crime scene. Russian state media cherry-picked positive reactions to the 70-year-old dictator's visit to the decimated port city, showing Putin palling around with rehoused residents in his first trip to the front lines of his country's 30-month-long unprovoked and illegal invasion. But was it Putin? We're not so sure. We'll have a look at that in a bit. New Jersey Governor Murphy warns New York City congestion pricing gives commuters excuse not to be in Manhattan. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy on Sunday ripped the MTA's congestion pricing plan, warning New York City, as it recovers from the pandemic, shouldn't want to give people some other excuse not to be in Manhattan. The big thing is, and this is a story I've been going on for a while, you don't need to be in the city anymore now. London is a lot quieter than it used to be. Manchester is a lot quieter than it used to be, unless you get on the V1 bus. Generally, you don't have to be in the office every single day of the week. You can do the majority of your work from your desk, because you had to do it during lockdown, and people have realised, hang on a minute, we don't have to pay for offices, we don't have to pay for security, we don't have to pay electricity, we don't have to pay insurance, the staff don't have to pay commuting costs, the staff don't have to spend time commuting, they get as much work done, if not more work done, because they're concentrating on what they're doing, they're not being distracted by other people in the office, they don't have to pay a fortune for food, and yeah, the future, COVID has brought on the future where people stay at home rather than go to work. And anything that people put up in order to make it more difficult to go into city centres, i.e. congestion charge, basically are making it easier for people to stay away. Big Mac inflation attack. Iconic burgers price soars. Now, I've noticed this myself, although I've not really been to McDonald's, really, this year. I don't think I've even done a review video this year of any McDonald's or any fast food restaurant. That's a lot of lettuce. The average price for a McDonald's Big Mac in the US is now estimated at $5.15, or nearly 22% more since the pre-pandemic era. The iconic burger's price varies from state to state, with the Big Mac in Hawaii fetching the most, a whopping $5.31. New York is the next most expensive at $5.23, followed by New Jersey at $5.19 and California at $5.11. There are 13,000 McDonald's in the US. There's 13,000 McDonald's in Greater Manchester in the UK. Feels like it anyway. 5 kids killed in fiery New York crash with 16-year-old driver behind the wheel. 5 kids from Connecticut were killed in a single vehicle crash on Sunday when their vehicle was being driven by a 16-year-old male and it hit a tree and caught fire. Absolutely horrendous thoughts and prayers with all the families of the children involved. A Pennsylvania woman mauled to death while feeding neighbours' dogs as young son looks on. This seems to be a thing at the moment. It's happened in the UK a couple of times recently, and it's happened in America. I mean, I've been doing this American thing for quite a while now, and it's only in the last few weeks that dog mauling seems to be coming up. Are the dogs rising against their oppressors? I'm not so sure. But yeah, horrendous story of a 38-year-old who was fatally mauled by a neighbour's 2 Great Danes who attacked her while she was feeding them, and her young son witnessed the whole event. I mean, that's got to be horrendous. And you wouldn't think Great Danes would be that bad. No, not the Big Mac. Yeah, the Big Mac. The Big Mac is expensive in America. Michigan College baseball player shot after the team's first win of the season. A Michigan College baseball player was brazenly gunned down after the team's first win of the season. The unidentified college player was allegedly shot 3 times by former student Frankie J. Grayson following Friday evening's game at Muskegon University. Yeah, horrendous. America, sort your dogs out, yes. It's not just America though, I think it's just the world. We need to treat our dogs better, I think, and train them better as well. Miami Beach orders curfew Sunday night after 2 fatal shootings. Flood of people and guns have created peril that cannot go unchecked. Miami Beach will again impose a curfew starting Sunday night after a bloody weekend in which 2 people died during separate shootings and large rowdy crowds flooded the streets. It's alcohol and youngsters with guns. Could go wrong. Janet Yellen is selling bank crisis short as execs fear dozens more teeter on the brink. Basically, listening to Janet Yellen, you might be led to believe that the US banking system is, in the words, sound and that your deposits remain safe. She's the Treasury Secretary of the USA after all. She must have some clue, right? Well, apparently not. There's loads of banks that are on the edge. Might not be the crisis that we had in 2008, but it's certainly beginning to look like that. Let's say Credit Suisse, Deutsche Bank. America, sorry, you can't say. And don't forget, shut up Harry. Florida spring break shooter fired stolen gun 11 times in street slaying. To be fair, this is a stolen gun, so not illegally owned. But the alleged gunman charged with murdering a reveller on a busy Miami Beach sidewalk during spring break on Sunday is accused of shooting him with almost a dozen bullets from a stolen semi-automatic handgun, police said. Why are people allowed to have semi-automatic handguns? Yes, it was stolen, but someone must own it, and they've stolen it from them. Why don't you keep them secure? Shooting killed another injured outside a shooting in a shooting outside Texas high school. A student was killed, another injured when shots rang out outside a Texas high school early Monday morning, with the alleged teen gunman taken into custody with that incident. Police received multiple reports of shots fired at Lamar High School in Arlington shortly before 7 a.m. Horrendous. Teens shooting teens. I mean, I don't understand why America can't see what the rest of the world can see. Zelensky advisor suggests Putin sent body double to Ukraine. Is he Putin? A top advisor to the Ukrainian government stoked conspiracy theories on Monday that Russian President Vladimir Putin had been using body doubles to attend public events in his place. The advisor to the Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine shared 3 recent photos of the Russian leader on Twitter, including 2 that were supposedly taken during the trip this weekend. There's more of that. Don't worry, there's more. Come here, there's more. Come here, there's more. Elon Musk's satellites triggers uptick in UFO sightings, study finds. Is it a UFO or is it just another one of Elon Musk's satellites? Researchers from the University of Vermont and Center of UFO Studies found that Musk's SpaceX was responsible for the uptick in UFO sightings since the pandemic began. While researchers initially believed that pandemic boredom caused more people to investigate the night sky and report more than 600 sightings than normal in 2020. It turns out they're actually seeing stuff, but it's just Elon Musk's rockets that he's got. Julia Fustin, most likely not Madeleine McCann, analyst concludes. No poo Sherlock. The Polish woman who became an internet sensation after claiming to be missing British girl Madeleine McCann is most likely not the girl who was abducted in Portugal in 2007. Who saw that coming, eh? That's basically look like the Red R2 unit. I don't know what a Red R2 unit is. Gen Z hordes hit Texas amid deadly spring break party chaos in Florida. While spring break revelers in Miami were put under a curfew following a series of deadly shootings, the party shows no sign of slowing down in Texas. Hordes of rowdy college students were seen drinking, dancing and twerking Saturday in the beaches of South Parade Island as celebrations continue there unabated. So, yep, the kids are a partying. We don't have spring break over here, so it's an enigma to us. South Korea ditches 69-hour work week plan after youth revolt. South Korea backed off a plan to lengthen the workload to 69 hours after a near revolt by the country's young people. 5 years ago, South Korea cut the number of hours that its labour-obsessed people were allowed to work to 52 in total, a regular 40 hours and then 12 hours of paid overtime. But earlier this month, the nation's conservative government sought to lift the cap after pressure from business groups who wanted to basically kill their workers. But yeah, it's been scrapped, and rightly so. R2-D2. Star Wars man. Remember there was a red R2. I've never seen Star Wars. Never seen Star Wars. Video captures a moment. A monkey kidnaps a dog and leaps from rooftop as stunned onlookers laugh. A miniature version of King Kong played out in the middle of an Indian market square when a monkey grabbed a dog and began jumping from rooftop to rooftop. It was in Jaipur, and a local captured the shocking moments that the monkey was spotted on the rooftops of local businesses on Saturday with a black and white dog in its hands. The dog appeared to be resigned to its fate, but was later found safe and well on a roof. Insane. Yeah, 69 hours, exactly. Yeah, they want 69, do they? One killed, another injured during shooting at New York City, Delhi. One man was shot dead and another person injured during a shooting at a Bronx, Delhi on Sunday night. A 24-year-old victim was fatally shot in the stomach during the feud that erupted in the Zoom Zoom Delhi Grill, according to police. He was rushed to a medical centre where he was pronounced dead. But yeah, horrendous. I guess you could say he was monkeying around. Well, he's a monkey, so I suppose that's what monkeys do. Prince William and Kate in argument about George's coronation role, a report. Well, families don't have arguments about things. I mean, these are on another level, talking about what Prince George is going to do at a coronation of his granddad. But anyway, Prince William and Kate Middleton are reportedly in argument over their oldest, it says argument, oldest son Prince George's planned appearance at King Charles's more inclusive coronation on May the 6th. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are worried that it will be too much for the 9-year-old, according to royal commentator Tom Quinn. Well, if they're both worried, then they're not arguing, are they? Do you want some food from America? Take a look at my sadness. That picture there as well, I think it's St. Patrick's Day, whatever, just got like weed stuck. It looks like he's literally walked through a hedge. Terrifying video shows execution-style Miami Beach shooting. Shocking surveillance video captures the execution-style killing that sent throngs of Miami spring breakers bolting on Sunday, the second deadly shooting that erupted at a popular party destination over the weekend. Terrifying footage shows crowds of vacationers walking underneath umbrellas at around 3:30 a.m. when a gunman starts firing off rounds. Yeah, just horrendous. I think that's the guy that they arrested with the illegal gun earlier. Potential tequila shortage could impact your next margarita due to Mexico's extreme dryness. So not only has Europe got a problem with tomatoes and the like, and the price going up because there's not as much around, looks like Mexico's got a similar problem going on, and there's no tequila. It won't make you happy. BBC tells employees to delete TikTok from work phones. Now this has not been reported on the BBC, surprisingly, but the BBC is pressing its staffers to scrub TikTok from any work devices amid allegations that the Chinese company that owns the app has been spying on journalists. The news site and broadcaster issued a no TikTok guidance to employees on Sunday, according to a report just days after the UK government banned the Chinese owned social media platform from their phones, etc. Oh no, not the tequila. Yeah, it's not going to make you happy. I've got a bottle of tequila downstairs. I'm going to do shots one night when I'm playing games with that. Florida bill would ban talk of menstrual cycles in elementary schools. Now I remember when I was a teenager at school, which would be in the very late 70s, you used to have an assembly every morning. We'd have an assembly. And apparently they only have one a week now. But anyway, we used to have one every morning. Anyway, one day the teacher said, right, all the boys, can you please go to your lessons as normal? And all the girls, can you please stay here? And I'm like, oh, that's a bit weird. And we never found out what it was, but one assumes it was the talk about a menstrual cycle. Lawmakers in Florida House are considering a law that would ban elementary school classrooms from talking about menstrual cycles, sexually transmitted diseases, and other sexuality topics. I think kids need to know. I think the problem is this day and age, particularly with smartphones and the like. Kids are a lot more knowledgeable about everything, particularly sex and human bodies, than I was even when I left school. So I think ignoring this problem, or not the problem, but ignoring the situation, I think it would make things worse. And they would then possibly go onto these random sites and see horrific stuff, probably full of bull as well, about what the consequences are and how to stop it and how to do this and how to do that. So I think it's better they get taught in a school. However, very often they go far too far the other way, and it's just finding that balance between. When I was at school and I learnt nothing, I thought to get a woman pregnant you had to pee up a bum, I'll be honest. So yeah, the kids are a lot more knowledgeable now anyway, just because of the internet and the friends showing them stuff on the internet. But they need to be taught that what they see on the internet isn't necessarily A, true, B, achievable, or C, honest, which is true, innit? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So yeah, rant over. A Florida man charged after allegedly slapping a woman's face with a pizza slice. I mean, it's horrendous. It's a good waste of food, and if it was me, I would charge him for the assault because I'm lactose sensitive, and obviously the cheese on my face would cause irritation. But the 39-year-old allegedly slapped a woman in the face with a slice of pizza after becoming upset during an argument over disciplining, authorities said. You should never hit a woman for any reason whatsoever, but you also should never waste food. So yeah, we need to get that sorted. Arkansas town has almost no police protection after tiff over chief's race. It's a matter of life and death. It definitely is. A handful of police officers in Parkin, Arkansas are threatening to quit the job after the city council denied giving the police chief a raise. It's nice solidarity and all that. It's not exactly Alan Shearer and the other guy supporting Gary Lineker. But anyway, serial gas stove user. I mean, is that even a thing? Serial gas stove user? Stacey Abrams trolled for joining group that wants to ban them. Stacey Abrams has been called out for featuring a gas-powered stove in a campaign ad after joining an environmental group that is pushing to ban such stoves. Well, you've got to keep it on both sides, haven't you? If that's how babies were made, I don't think we'd have as many people on Earth. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Mind you, I dare say people have come up with even more stupid ideas than peeing up a girl's bottom, but anyway, there you go. Missing Illinois woman found wrapped in sheet, dumped in shopping cart in a Chicago alley. Now, this is a different body than was tragically found last week in a shopping trolley. Missing Illinois woman, aged 21, was found dumped in a Chicago alley under gruesome circumstances nearly 2 months after she went missing from an Uber cab. Again, horrendous thoughts and prayers, family and friends. But yeah, horrible, horrible, horrible. Arizona Senate advises parental rights bill that would ban books promoting sexually explicit content. Promoting sexually explicit content. Now, I don't quite understand what that means. Arizona lawmakers have advanced a parental rights bill that would instruct the State Department of Education to create a list of books banned for sexually explicitly promoting content. Well, you don't get a book with a massive willy on the front of it going, this is what you're going to see inside, because that's promoting the content in that book. Or do they mean the content in the book? It doesn't make sense. It's absolute duh. Great to hear. Do so young, yeah. Horrendous for that poor woman in the shopping trolley. Then we've got, what's she up to? Oh, the Virginia teacher shot by 6-year-old student in classroom says she'll never forget the look on his face. The Virginia teacher shot by a 6-year-old student in a classroom at the elementary school said, well, she was terrified of the look on his face, but I'd be more terrified of the gun that he was pointing at me. Gun-toting Florida dad rushes to daughter's apartment and turns tables on her abusive ex. A Florida dad shot and killed his daughter's ex-boyfriend, who allegedly physically assaulted her earlier that day at her apartment, according to Gainesville Police Department. I can see why I did it, but again, guns aren't the answer, America. DEA issues dire warning on fentanyl mixed with flesh-eating Tranks zombie drug, and they've seized it now in 48 of the 50 states of America. A new drug that's going around. Sort your kids and guns out, yes. Where are we up to? That one. Idaho murders. State Senate passes bill to reinstate execution by firing squad. Iowa lawmakers have voted to reinstate death by firing squad for condemned inmates amid shortage of the drugs used for lethal injections. I mean, it just baffles me. Bodies of missing Florida boaters recovered at lake after anchor mishap, sheriff says. More than a mishap, unfortunately. Dive teams in Polk County, Florida, recovered the bodies of Jeffrey and Mario, 34, and Orlando Oritz, 32, from Lake Eloise in Winter Haven nearly 2 days after the men vanished. Awful, awful, awful. But yeah, mishap. That's not a mishap, that's a tragedy. Texas student dies after school shooting. Juvenile suspect's motive unclear. A juvenile suspect faces capital murder charge after he allegedly opened fire outside Lamar High School in Arlington, Texas, striking and killing another male student. I think we've already covered that, but yeah. I don't know. Kansas man stumbles on human skeleton while searching for deer antlers. A Kansas man was searching for deer antlers on Saturday afternoon when he stumbled on human skeletal remains, according to the State Bureau of Investigation. What is looking for antlers a thing in America? Is that something you do? I mean, hopefully, you know, put peace to someone's family if they can identify the skeletal remains. But looking for antlers. Florida woman allegedly threatened McDonald's employees with gun over missing menu item. She brandished a firearm at McDonald's drive-thru because an item she wanted wasn't on the menu anymore, according to the police. Well, that seems reasonable, doesn't it? And she looks like a very sane person to have a gun. Leave Bambi alone. Los Angeles school prepare for 3-day strike for equitable wage increases and more. You can tell the teachers, aren't they? What do we want? Equitable wages when we want them. Yeah, now. Members of the SEIU Local 99 who work for Los Angeles Unified School District plan to strike for 3 days starting on Tuesday over wages, respectfulness and working conditions. Respectfulness. That's something new, isn't it? You don't see that every day. Where are we? There's the antlers, so we're there. US probes report of steering glitch in newer Honda Civics. US auto safety regulators are investigating complaints from Honda Civic drivers that their steering can stick, causing a momentary increase in efforts and increasing the risk of a crash. The probe by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration covers an estimated 238,000 Civics from 2022 to 2023. Just think she could have gone to one of the other 29,999 McDonald's. Now, well, it wouldn't matter because the item's off the menu. The item's off the menu. Remember, I did that when I was in Manchester looking for, I can't remember what it was I was looking for. And I went to 4 McDonald's and none of them had it. But I didn't get my gun out and start brandishing it or even threatening people. A strong earthquake rattles Pakistan. Residents flee homes. Lots and lots of earthquakes again at the moment. Thankfully, no serious damage, but yeah, not pleasant considering what's gone on recently with earthquakes. Princess of Wales meets UK business leaders for her campaign to boost kids' lives. Kate Middleton is blazing her way through a new campaign to improve the lives of young kids. The Princess of Wales wore an eye-catching $2,190 Alexander McQueen jacket. Alright, okay then, so she's just a fashion icon, is she now? A bit like her mother-in-law, late mother-in-law. I don't think so. 2 men killed in New York City shootings. 2 men were killed in separate Brooklyn shootings on Monday in a public housing stairwell and the other in front of a deli, authorities said. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And then it goes on a bit more, and then it goes on a bit more. She's so lovely, I think she's awesome. Yeah, she's alright. A Russian musician whose song was used in an anti-war protest dies after falling through the ice. The founder of the Russian band Cream Soda, whose music was used during anti-war protests in Russia, has died after falling through the ice while crossing a river on Sunday. Dmitry Suganov, was also known as Dimanova, was crossing the frozen Volga River with his brother and 3 friends when he fell through the ice, the independent Russian outlet Medusa has reported. Someone who's against the war mysteriously falls through broken ice on a river and drowns, even when there's people there who could rescue him. Don't fall out with Putin. Prince Andrew is trying to worm his way back into royal life, but he deserves the boot. Prince Andrew is trying hard to get back into society's good graces, according to a new report. Yeah, it's not going to happen, is it? Let's be honest. Like I've said before, even in the 1980s, he was known as a philanderer. He was like the Princess Margaret of the Queen's children. Bit like Prince Harry is as well. Partying and all that kind of thing. And Spitting Image used to take the mickey out of him all the time, of always having a different girl every time, because he was young and handsome. And they did a set spread in a magazine they did, which I've got somewhere in the house. I will show it you one day. The set spread of the magazine, and it's basically a Spitting Image puppet of Prince Andrew on a lounge tune. I have a lounge tune, with where his bits and pieces would be a whole string of sausages, because that's what he was. And you know, are we all shocked now that it's all come to light that he still is? Prince Andrew worming in anywhere is a nightmarish image. Yeah, he might be abusing scaffolding poles in New York. Ex-Russian president makes missile threat against The Hague after Putin warrant. Remember because Putin couldn't be president for too long, so he had to become prime minister. So he got one of his mates to be president while he was prime minister, and then once they'd done one term, well, he was still president, but he was prime minister, but he was still president. Then they swapped back again at the next election. What do you think of the then Fury versus fight? I have no opinion on fighting whatsoever. I don't watch it. I don't follow it. It's off though, isn't it? I thought it was off. I heard something about it being off. I don't know. Ex-Russian president, the former Russian president Dmitry Medvedev has threatened a hypersonic missile strike on The Hague if the International Criminal Court arrests warmongering leader Vladimir Putin. An absolute idiot. For a start, you're going to kill Putin because he would be in The Hague waiting his trial. And secondly, you're firing a hypersonic missile into Europe, all the European countries. Russia would be wiped off the map. China Xi invites dear friend Putin to visit. Again, one of the few countries President Putin can visit. Chinese President Xi Jinping invited his dear friend Russian President Vladimir Putin to visit China this year, as the communist power gets slammed for attempting to present itself as a peacemaker in the war in Ukraine. I can see sanctions coming against China very, very quickly indeed. I don't think they care, because we rely on them too much. Hi Stuart. Hi Paul. Hi, Angela. North Koreans secretly resent Kim Jong-un's daughter plump cheeks, says a report. North Koreans are secretly resentful that Kim Jong-un's young daughter seems to be well fed as others in the reclusive country starved. Yeah, I thought that as well. She's looking well, isn't she? Bearing in mind that the entire country and all its people are literally starving to death because of well, bad management and also bad harvests as well. Putin would rather that than be stuck waiting for a trial. Yeah, probably. Peter, I mean, these are completely bonkers people. These are like that. They are completely off the nut. Peter plans to install billboards to honour chickens killed in New York City truck fire. Peter, whatever you want to call it, plans to install a billboard in memory of the chickens killed in a truck fire last week on the Staten Island Expressway in a bid to convince drivers to go vegan. The truck carrying chickens in crates caught fire on Thursday morning during rush hour, and an unknown number of the animals died in the blaze. To honour the chickens that lost their lives, Peter, along with another mad bonkers charity, are wanting to put up a memorial and tell people to go vegan. I mean, I'd be like, what are you talking about, love? Look, I've got Kentucky Fried Chicken drive-through here. Yeah, Peter should not be given any time other than to ridicule them, which is what I'm doing. So I feel fine with that. Where are we up to? Petter. There we go. Toys. Rest in pieces, preferably KFC 12-piece bucket. Exactly my thoughts. A 90-year-old Toys, Mr. Pickles, welcomes 3 newborns at Houston Zoo. A 90-year-old Toys named Mr. Pickles welcomed 3 new hatchlings to the world at Houston Zoo. Mr. Pickles, a critically endangered reptile from Madagascar, became a new father after a vigilant keeper spotted the eggs just in time. Although he's been together with Mrs. Pickles for 27 years, the two have only ever had one hatchling in 1977, as tortoises don't often reproduce. Yeah, you can imagine, if they live to 90 years old and they have babies every year and they'll live to 90 years old, we won't be able to move for tortoises. So they probably have rumpy pumpy as often as I have rumpy pumpy, which is like once every 15 years. Did you have a hangover? No, I didn't have a hangover. I don't get hangovers, I'll be honest with you. I do not get hangovers. But yeah, 90-year-old Toys, Mr. Pickles, welcomes 3 new babies. Congratulations, Mr. Pickles. He's almost got the record now of for being the oldest person to have babies, as Mick Jagger. Just saying. Hashtag. Sorry. That's cruel on the Toys, isn't it? I do apologise. Anyone's offended by that. Cat survives 6 days trapped in gas explosion rubble, and it's quoted as, he was a little cross. Yeah. I know how cross cats can get. Lucky, it's got 9 lives. A cat called Teddy has been found alive in the rubble of a house 6 days after it collapsed due to a fatal gas explosion. This was the one in the UK that I mentioned last week. The fortuitous feline, a ragdoll moggy breed, was presumed dead from the March 13th blast which killed 68-year-old Walesman, but was miraculously found alive nearly a week later. Teddy's owner, Claire Griffiths Bennett, and her son Ethan, 14, were rushed to a veterinary hospital to pick up the cat, but apparently was not in a good mood. I mean, be in a good mood because you've been found, but 6 days of being left in rubble, in cold weather and everything, yeah, I'd be a bit vicious as well. Mr. Pickles has babies. Pickles, now I don't know how a 90-year-old can keep up with a baby Toys. A cat trapped 6 days, wasn't happy, who would have thought? Yeah, I mean, a 90-year-old cat, I mean, baby Toys are so much quicker than a 90-year-old Toys, let's be honest. The Toys. Head of Russia's Wagner mercenary force warns of Ukrainian counterattack. The head of Russia's Wagner mercenary force warned Defence Minister that Ukraine was planning an imminent counterattack to cuff off the invading army in a letter published on Monday. He said the Ukrainians hope to launch a large-scale attack in the next few weeks in an effort to separate the Wagner forces from Russian troops in eastern Ukraine. I ask you to take all necessary precautions to avert this occurring. Of course. Justice Department asked Supreme Court to overturn domestic gun violence gun ruling. Supreme Court is being asked to review whether a law prohibiting the possession of firearms by persons subject to a domestic violence restraining order violates the Second Amendment. Of course it doesn't. They are at risk from carrying out a crime in a domestic dispute. They should have their gun licence suspended at the very least, and their guns taken into care until things sort themselves out. I mean, America. California law mandating handgun safety features violates Second Amendment. A federal judge on Monday blocked a California law that restricts the sale of new handguns, stating that parts of the legislation violate the Second Amendment. I'm sure if the people who wrote the Second Amendment would come back now, they'd be saying, why are you letting all your children kill each other, and why are you letting people mass murder people? That's not what we meant. What we meant was, and then rewrite the Second Amendment. Miami Beach not extending spring break curfew despite deadly shootings, which is a contradiction of what it said earlier on. Miami Beach curfew enacted after 2 people were killed in front of huge crowds of young people in the busiest part of the city last weekend will not be extended into next weekend, despite thousands of revellers expecting to flock for the spring break hotspot of the Ultra Music Festival. Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gleiber enacted a midnight curfew Sunday in the wake of the fatal shootings, but has said we're not doing it again because the nightclub owners and everyone basically kicked off. So as long as they get the money, let's let the kids shoot each other, shall we? Let's imagine Earth without guns and weapons. They'd find a way. They'd find a way. What would be better would be a world without religion. A world without any religion whatsoever would be amazing. It would solve so many problems. Miami Beach. Oh, I've already done that one. It's that good, I'm going to do it twice. Where are we up to? Where's it gone? Oh, there's the thing. Oh, that's that. Miami Beach. And there we go. Nice sunset. Russian cruise missiles destroyed in Crimea blast, Ukraine says. Russians' Caliber cruise missiles were destroyed in an explosion as they were being transported by train to Russia's Black Sea Fleet in annexed Crimea, Ukraine's defense ministry said on Monday. Ukrainian authorities stopped short of taking responsibility for the attack, but said the strike should prompt Russia to leave the Black Sea Peninsula it illegally stole from Ukraine in 2014. And yet, fair play to you, that is a legitimate target as far as I'm concerned. So just keep on blowing up them rockets. White House Kirby blasts Russia for rewarding pilots behind the US drone crash. At best, just an idiot. The Biden administration made fun of Russia for issuing awards to 2 pilots for downing a US drone when one crashed into the aircraft over the Black Sea. Over here it was described as inept piloting, although, to be fair, it didn't destroy the aircraft, although it may have needed some repairs when it got back. Tiger King, Joe Exotic, runs for president from prison. Libertarian Party says he shouldn't be taken seriously. Joe Exotic, famously known as the Tiger King, launched a 2024 campaign for president from prison, it's not being taken too seriously. I mean, everything that he does should be taken seriously because he's such a level-headed gentleman. 3 teens shot by North Carolina middle school. 2 bodies found hours after first victim rushed to ER. Durham, North Carolina, police are investigating shooting by Brogan Middle School after a 16-year-old was rushed to hospital and an overnight search found another body. Seriously, it just goes on and on and on. And I'm not making this up. This is actually happening. And if we get a shooting in the UK, I mention it. If we get shooting in Europe, and I hear about it, I mention it. And I generally do hear about it. South Carolina domestic shooting leaves 3 children and 2 adults dead. So what we're saying about domestic crimes and giving people guns, sadly and horrifically, that kind of proves the point for not doing. 8 dolphins die in New Jersey beach after mass stranding event. There seem to be a hell of a lot of strandings going on, particularly in America, with whales and dolphins and whatnot, considerably more than there have been for a long while, and people are trying to figure out why. They think it might be wind turbines in the sea, but I don't really get how that would work, unless them spinning round creates a noise which goes down the pole into the sea and then affects the, we can't hear it, but can affect the whales and dolphins' navigation or communication skills or whatever, and they end up beaching. I don't know. 50th time today. Yes, exactly, Smiley Mac. Ohio State Patrol arrests alleged drunk driver who crashed into highway sign about impaired drivers. Basically, a drunk driver ironically crashed into a road sign instructing drivers how to report impaired drivers, according to the Ohio State Police Patrol. Yeah, you couldn't make it up, could you? It's like, you know, if you see any impaired drivers, then please call this number, which of course will be legal because you're not allowed to use your phone while you're driving. Texas resident shoots and kills 2 intruders who broke into his apartment, police say. Texas police say 2 armed intruders were killed on Saturday for breaking into an apartment and were fired upon by residents. Just too many guns. Everyone's got guns in America. I would never go to America for this reason. He got the fast pass. Yes, he did. Chilling deepfakes claiming to show Trump's arrest spread across Twitter. I mean, if only that was true. If only that was Donald Trump in that position, that would be amazing. But yeah, there's loads of deep fake, and a lot of them are saying that Trump himself is actually organising them so that people think he's being picked on, and then they'll vote for him in the deep south. Rafters fight off mountain lions. A lion attack with paddles along Arizona River. A group of rafters in Arizona had to use their paddles in a fight for their lives against a mountain lion. It was in the remote area of the White Mountains Apache Reservation. The attack occurred 21 miles downstream from Salt River Bridge on the White Mountain Apache Nation, which is the north side of the Salt River in an extremely remote area. You're in their area. Thankfully, they didn't shoot the lion and it ran off. But if they'd have shot it, I'd have been fuming. You're in their territory. What do you expect? Gwyneth Paltrow ski crash victim says he can't enjoy wine tasting due to the injuries. But as our case, I don't think Kitty looks friendly. Yeah, he probably does look friendly in a photograph, posing for a picture, but yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow allegedly skied into some other skier and injured them severely, and then fled the scene and all this, and this in trial, and it's like... Trump wants to appear in handcuffs if he's charged in New York City. Why don't we just chuck him in some stocks and throw rotten fruit at him? Although we can't do it at the minute because rotten fruit's too expensive to throw away. 2 wounded, student gunman on the loose at a Denver high school. 2 people were shot at Denver High School on Wednesday, and the campus was placed in lockdown while cops searched for the gunman. Yes, another school shooting. But yeah, apparently it's normal in America. Although J.M. Morris did say that he'd not ever witnessed a shooting, which is good, very good. Where are we at? That one, I think. Straight jacket would be better for him. Yes. Oh no, I've already done that one. Oops. 4 faults. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? There we go. Oh, is this DeSantis? Yeah. DeSantis says Putin is a war criminal in a Piers Morgan interview. Well, that's about the only thing DeSantis has said that's actually possibly true. I'll say possibly. Ex-soldier kills 3 kids in their sleep and a fellow soldier in murder-suicide. Horrendous. I mean, what drives people to kill their kids as well as their partner and themselves? I get wanting to kill yourself, as I said before. I've been there, done that. Well, not done it, obviously. But I've been, you know, that low. But I've never thought of hurting anyone else. A Massachusetts train a derailment. Another derailment in America. So America sort your trains out. Thankfully, there was no chemicals on there that could cause any serious injury or death. Law enforcement kills California man armed with a machete. Man brandishing a machete held one adult and 3 children as hostages for almost 3 hours before police began using their firearms. I mean, were the people that were being, were they all right? I'm a bit concerned about that, I'll be honest. Not DeSantis again, is it? Oh no. Matt Gaetz, Democrats will move on guns by declaring firearm violence a public health emergency. Someone with half a brain. It is an emergency. I know it's a public health emergency, but it's definitely an emergency gun crime. I mean, we go on about in the UK knife crime, particularly with teenagers. Again, there's been another couple of stabbings this last couple of weeks of teenagers, and it's just horrendous. But we are seriously trying to look into it and try and stop it. There's America that just want to relax gun laws again and again and again. DeSantis, what? No way. I mean, the rest of us worked it out when he invaded Ukraine as well. DeSantis isn't the sharpest guy, being an Ivy League grad. Yeah. It's scary. White House floats cutting Uganda health aid over anti-homosexuality act. Now, Ugandan Parliament have, I mean, talk about being in the dark ages. That's not meant to be anything other than backwards thinking. But they've basically banned homosexuality from Uganda, which basically means a quarter of their population is breaking the law. And you now by law have to report family members engaging in homosexual activity. Neighbours have to report people living in homosexual things, and you can get 10 years in prison. You can even get killed for it. I mean, they should have everything removed from them. Any aid that goes to Uganda should be immediately stopped by all the countries in the world, because that is just inhuman. No matter what your sexuality is or whatever, that is just unbelievably inhuman. And yeah, they deserve retribution on a massive scale for coming up with that BS. But I'm over it now. Shooters unload 60 rounds at group of teens in Philadelphia triple shooting. Philadelphia police released a video on Thursday of a group of 4 suspects unleashing dozens of rounds at 3 teenagers earlier this week, shooting 2 victims. 2 shooting victims are still critically ill in hospital. That's fascist Christianity right there in Uganda. Like I said earlier, if we just banned religion from the entire world, or religion had never been thought of, then life would be so much better for everyone. Really would. Texas man killed after meeting potential car buyers online and went for a test drive. This is why I don't understand why people use Facebook to sell stuff. Or come round to my house and buy my phone off me that's 500 quid. You can have it for 200 quid. Right lads, let's go around there and we'll just get that gun off him, and if we, that phone off him, and if he kicks up a stuff, you just, stab him. I mean, it's ridiculous. 2 suspects are wanted in Arlington, Texas, after allegedly shooting and killing a man during a test drive of a car he was trying to sell. It's so dangerous. I mean, I get more eBay where you post stuff and things like that. That's a little bit safer, but you're still giving your home address away and everything. Denver high school shooting. 17-year-old gunman found dead in woods. Colorado coroner confirmed a body found at Denver woods was that of an East High School student accused of shooting 2 administrators. This was the Denver shooting that we were on about earlier. The shooter was still at large, but went into some woods and took their own life. Again, it's just teens killing, dying, and it's just awful. Wisconsin Zoo mourns unexpected loss of 17-year-old giraffe. Now look at the word unexpected loss of a 17-year-old giraffe. The Milwaukee County Zoo in Wisconsin announced that its 17-year-old male giraffe died unexpectedly on Monday morning, adding that the average age of males in zoos is 14. So what's unexpected about a 17-year-old giraffe dying when the average age for a giraffe in a zoo is only 14? That's not unexpected. It's like saying, oh yeah, that woman next door, she died unexpectedly. She was 173. I mean, come on. Jesus. Anyway, sad loss of a giraffe. How do they bury a giraffe? Do they have very long coffins? I don't know. Something I never thought of before. There you go. Florida Republican Will Robinson Jr. hilariously duped into reading fake names, Anita Dick, and holding his cock at a meeting. It was truly a facepalm moment. A Florida state representative was hilariously duped into reading names Anita Dick and holding his cock in the record during a committee meeting this week. You think, when people come up on here and I'm reading the name out, you'll often see me looking at it before I say it, as if to say, right, is that me going to say something I shouldn't be saying? You'd think that, to be fair, you'd think whoever gave him the information, unless they were trying to set him up, would also think that anyway. World Athletics bans trans females who experienced male puberty. It's a start. Transgender women who have experienced male puberty will not be permitted to compete in female world ranking competitions, the World Athletics announced on Thursday. The International Council opted to ban the swathe of prospective athletes instead of continuing to follow its previous rule that placed parameters on the testosterone levels of transgender female athletes. To be fair, I would just ban all transgender athletes from all. Not because I'm anti-transgender at all, but I just don't think it's fair that is allowed, which it isn't anymore. But whether they've gone through puberty or not, if you're born male, even before puberty, your body is developing differently than what it is if you were born female. So why not have transgender athletes? So you have the Olympics or whatever, but you also have a transgender, 100. There must be enough people now. 100-meter race or transgender hurdles or whatever. You have to be careful of the hurdles. But yeah, it just makes more sense to do it that way. So streaming myself on Twitch for a bit of fun. Sounds fun. I didn't get on with Twitch at all. I dumped Twitch very quickly. I've got a Twitch channel, but I can't remember the last time I even logged on. Never mind, used it. Where are we up to? There we are. We're nearly at the bottom now of America. Ukraine plans counter offensive. Ukraine plans counter. Why can't I say this? Ukraine plans counter-offensive on Russian troops who are losing steam in Bakhmut. The Ukraine military will launch a highly anticipated counter-attack very soon, one of the top ground force commanders said on Thursday. Now, Russians already said that they know they're going to do that, so it's like the world's worst war kept secret ever, that is going to happen. But hopefully it does, and hopefully they do push back the illegal Russian army. Most Americans want to ban TikTok, but not this age group. Okay, Zoomers, most Americans view TikTok as a national security threat and believe the US should ban the Chinese social media app unless they are younger than 30 years old. A CBS News YouGov poll in March found just 39% of Gen Z, US adults were aware of TikTok between the ages of 18 and 29. So yeah, basically kids want to keep TikTok, but to be fair, they don't have government secrets on the phone, whereas people with government secrets on the phone, I would advise not to have TikTok. Not that I'm an expert or anything, but it just seems common sense, doesn't it? Top Russian official says Putin arrest will be declaration of war. No, it wouldn't. It'd be It would be justice for the people that he and his army have illegally killed over the last 12 months. A new viral video adds fuel to Vladimir Putin's body double conspiracy theory. So yeah, when you get older, your face starts doing weird things. Like our family, we get this like sagging bit behind our chins, and I'm starting to get it as well now, which is a bit annoying. but it's just a family trait, like the massive nose and the tiny. Anyway, but new viral videos is adding fuel. It's adding fuel to the conspiracy theories that Russian strongman Vladimir Putin is deploying doppelgangers for risky public outings. To be fair, if I was Vladimir Putin, I would have lookalikes doing the stuff that's a bit dangerous, like going to Ukraine, which I've illegally invaded. I would send my doppelganger there. The only problem is, if it's live on TV and a missile lands there and kills your doppelganger, what do? Because you've lost all credibility because you didn't go there. So what do? Do you just disappear in the background, or you just go, ha, I'm still here, you missed me. I sent it off again because I knew you were going to do that. Yeah, weird. Death from contaminated eye drops rise to 3, while 4 needed eyeballs removed. Now, I don't use eye drops, but it's called artificial tears. At least 68 people across the US are now known to have been infected by contaminated eye drops, killing 3, blinding 8, and leaving 4 others needing an eyeball surgically removed. Yeah, horrendous. You buy stuff in order to make you feel better or whatever, and stuff like that happens. But America's got a problem, I think, with not necessarily checking medical credibility of stuff that they have. For example, I think last week we were on about cough medicines that have killed quite a lot of people as well in America. Prince William visits troops in Poland on a surprise visit. He's getting that thing there. That was on about. There you go. See, must be a bit royal. Not that bit though. Britain's Prince William made an unannounced trip to Poland on Wednesday to thank British and Polish troops involved in providing support to Ukraine before meeting refugees who have fled the conflict with Russia to hear of their experiences. So yeah, he's going around doing good things. I won't say he's my favourite royal. I don't know who's my favourite royal, but he's certainly not my least favourite royal. Obviously. A bear who busted out of enclosure at St. Louis Zoo, twice moving to new facility with a molt. So New York City-born bear who escaped his enclosure at St. Louis Zoo twice last month is being moved to a facility in Texas where he'll be surrounded by a molt, officials have announced. He's only 4-year-old, he's already figured out how to escape. A genius bear. I think he should be made president, maybe. Can't do worse than the previous two, can he? Can he? Can he? No, he can't. Right, where's the bear gone? Well, there's the bear. There you go. This isn't the bear. Republican Jameel Bowman blasts efforts to ban TikTok as racist. He described government efforts to ban the Chinese-owned video sharing app TikTok as racist during a press conference outside the Capitol building. He was flanked by dozens of social media influencers, and he urged lawmakers and the public not to be racist towards China and express our xenophobia when it comes to TikTok. It's not racist, it's national security and saving people's lives and not having technology being stolen and stuff. It's not racism. Maybe he doesn't want to be trapped. Exactly. Yeah. Los Angeles schools to reopen after 3-day workers' strike. School will be back in session on Friday for 420,000 Los Angeles students after a 3-day strike by education workers disrupted classes and social services as well. I don't quite know why social services got involved with schools, but anyway, there you go. But the strike was ended. No sign of any peace talks or anything. 5 children rescued after getting lost in Staten Island sewers. Talk about a crappy situation. 5 Staten Island kids called 911 for help on Tuesday after they became stuck in the sewers. The youngsters crawled through an open storm drain at the Cloves Lake Park near the Staten Island Zoo and walked around a quarter of a mile through the sewage tunnels before they lost their way. The water level was low, so they were able to get right in. I'm more concerned about Chinese blackmailing future US leaders with the stuff they looked on their phones, etc. Yeah, exactly. You know, if you're a 18-year-old lad or girl or whatever, and you're using TikTok and you're doing stupid things, and then you know, 40 years' time, you become president of the United States of America, and they say, well, actually, here's him doing the windmill. I can't even do a button mushroom, to be honest, but anyway. US conduct airstrikes in Syria after Iranian drone kills US contractor and wounds 5 service members. The US conducted airstrikes in Syria on Thursday against facilities affiliated with Iranian's Revolutionary Guard after a US contractor was killed and 5 service members were injured in an Iranian drone attack, according to the Pentagon. Totally unaware of that until I read that, but there you go. Stuff going on still in Iran, which is slightly worrying. A Florida man with suspended license drives 100 miles an hour with 3 kids in the back to get his girlfriend to a Taco Bell job interview. Now, we've got a Taco Bell opening up in Wigan, and I hope no one drives at 100 miles an hour to get to that, but I can imagine that is genuinely a legitimate reason to speed, because who doesn't want a job at a Taco Bell? I mean, come on. It's like the best place in the world, isn't it? According to people who get very excited. Wolverine spotted outside Oregon mountains for the first time in 30 years. Yeah, that's because he's been in Hollywood filming movies. But now they've stopped making the Wolverine movies. He can go back on holiday to Oregon. You'll be driving 100 miles an hour to get to the toilet after lunch. I do have emergency toilet breaks at the minute. I don't know what's going on again. I'm not eating ice cream, so I'm a bit confused. Smithfield Middle School teacher resigns after taping chatty 11-year-old student's mouth shut. That is a brilliant picture, I'm sorry. A North Carolina teacher stepped down after a 6th grade student sent his mother a selfie showing him with tape covering his mouth because he was being too chatty in class. And his shocked parent is now seeking answers over the incident that left a child feeling humiliated. Catherine Webster said her 11-year-old son Brady was talking to his friends in class and had his mouth taped up. Now, when I was at school, you didn't get your mouth taped up. You had the chalk duster thrown at you, or you were given the cane, or you were given the slipper, or whatever. I mean, obviously, you shouldn't tape up children's mouths at all. I mean, just the health implications or whatever of it is not good. But yeah, I can see where she was coming from. It's wrong, but I can still see where she's coming from. I'm starting a new exercise plan tomorrow. I'll start at 1:30 a.m. and if I miss it, I'll leave it until next year. Yeah, that's fair enough. Don't forget, clocks go forward tonight as well. Utah parents want Bible removed from schools because it's pornographic. God's bestseller is next up on the chopping block. A Utah parent is calling for the Bible to be banned in school districts, claiming it violates the state's 2022 law regarding sensitive material. Get this porn out of our schools, pleased the anonymous parent in their scathing request to Davis High School, calling the Bible one of the most sex-ridden books around. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think many students could be bothered even reading the Bible, never mind finding the supposed sex bits. And I'm not even aware. I mean, I've never read the Bible all the way through. I was at a school where the Bible we looked at occasionally, and I've been given a couple of Bibles, but never looked at them. But I didn't know there was porn in there. I might dig it out and have a look, see if I can find it. North Korea claims it tested nuclear underwater attack drone amid US-South Korean military drills. So more... exactly 1 a.m. is skipped. I get it. So I got the joke, even though I got the joke, but I didn't get the joke. So saber rattling by North Korea. New York City's Museum of Failure opens to make us feel better about our lives. Are they changing the clocks this week in America, Jay Morris, by the way? I know they still do British summer saving time or winter saving time or light saving time, whatever it's called. Aficionados at sea submit it to the Museum of Failure, a brand new gallery dedicated to retail objects that are bombed commercially, opened earlier this month in Brooklyn's Industry City complex. The Museum of Failure collects failed products and services from around the world, according to its website. And that is Eins Easy Squirt, Interstellar Blue and Purple, and I've no idea what it is. I mean, to be fair, they look more like Well, that is a cuddly toy, isn't it? It's the jar on the left. It might be some kind of bubble gum or something. America was 2 weeks ago, I think. Ah, well, there you go then. Can we go to the bottom now? Can we go to the bottom? No, not quite. We've got one more to do before we're in the bottom section. Schools must stop paddling, spanking students, says Biden Education Secretary. I didn't know that corporal punishment was still a thing in America. US Secretary of Education issued a letter on Friday to education officials nationwide encouraging them to end corporal punishment in schools. So I always say that the reason why the British kids these days are so disrespectful is because they don't get corporal punishment anymore. You know, we got it and everything, we learnt respect and all that kind of stuff, but in America they still do it, yet they still stab each other, shoot each other and all that kind of stuff, so maybe corporal punishment doesn't help, maybe that proves it. Biden says he likes babies better than people as a child wails during a White House speech. President Biden joked on Wednesday that he likes babies better than people following a baby's wail interrupting his speech celebrating the anniversary of Obamacare. I'd be careful what you say, especially if you knew a certain late criminal and a prince. US airstrikes kills 19 fighters in Syria after fatal Iranian drone attack. So basically the same story as before. Just shows America's still getting involved in places it probably shouldn't. The blue one looks constipated. It did look a bit constipated, but I think that was a sort of plush toy. New York City, overnight shootings and stabbing leaves 1 dead and 5 injured. 1 man was killed, another hurt during a double shooting in the Bronx, police said. The responding officers found a man aged 34 riddled with bullets. The victim was later pronounced dead at St. Barnabas Hospital. Another man aged 33 was shot in the arm, and there was also a stab victim as well. Prince Andrew preferred kids more than, and that didn't end well for him. Allegedly. New York City Teachers Union hosting seminar on harmful effects of whiteness. The New York City Teachers Union is sponsoring a virtual workshop on fighting back against the harmful effects of whiteness in our lives. The United Federation of Teachers online seminar dubbed Holding the Weight on Whiteness, is scheduled for Monday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and will be hosted by Queens-based psychotherapist, consultant and self-proclaimed diversity, equity and inclusion officer. I mean, seriously. Trump could run for president from prison. It's happened before. Yeah. What's he called? Tiger King. Lion King. Tiger King. He wants to do it as well. This New York City wall of shame puts supermarket shoplifters in crosshairs. Bronx supermarket is posting photos of thieving meatheads and their stolen delicacy of choice on a wall of shame alongside its butcher's counter. The Rogues Gallery in Shangley Supermarket on Benedict Avenue includes the sausage stealer, the frying pan thief, as well as one person who was banned from stealing turkey necks. When they see their pictures, they never come back again. They had one of them at the old baths, and they had like Polaroid pictures of usually boys stuck up on the wall, and they were banned from going in. The only problem was that generally you got to like the midriff and they were all in the swimming trunks, so it looked like a gallery for certain kind of people. It was very peculiar and I don't think you'd be able to do that now. Take pictures of kids and stick them up on a wall in a public place, especially when they got no tops on. Very weird. But I like his idea of shaming thieves. At least 8 dead after powerful tornado devastates rural Mississippi. Again, it's early days from the tornado that I was talking about earlier. I mean, we complain about our weather, but we've got nothing to complain about, have we? Trump running would be scary, not for presidential, but for running in general. Yes. At least 2 dead and 9 missing after a chocolate factory explodes in Pennsylvania. At least 2 people were killed and 9 are missing after a massive explosion at a Pennsylvania chocolate factory on Friday, officials said. The violent blast at R.M. Palmer Company plant rocked the town of West Riding shortly before 5 p.m. At least 8 people were hospitalised for medical attention. Yeah, I don't know how a chocolate factory could explode, but yeah, not good. California bill would offer condoms to high school students without asking a teacher. A bill in the California State Senate aims to ensure schools will have at least 2 locations offering free condoms to students with accompanying information on proper, sex education, I would assume. But you don't have to ask the teachers. I don't think I would. If I was at school, I wouldn't ask one of my teachers if I could have a condom. I'd go to somewhere where you could get one out of a machine, or I'd go to. I mean, there was a place in Wigan that used to give them away. The kids used to come into my shop and throw condoms around all over the place because they'd been there. They were only like 14 at the time. So then I'd end up like 3 days going around picking up condoms that had been hidden behind shelves and all that. It was weird. Explosion at R.M. Palmer Chocolate Factory in Pennsylvania leaves 2 dead, others missing and injured. This is the actual explosion itself caught on a security camera. Again, absolutely horrific scenes there. But that ends our look at news from America. Which means, going down under now, what's going on in Australia? Not a lot this week. It's been a very quiet week this week for Australians, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Should sharenting be banned in Australia? Politicians in France have put forward a bill to make sharenting illegal, which would ban parents from sharing photos of their children on social media. I mean, that's in France, and in Australia they're asking about it, and I'm like, are we not taking it too far? Isn't it up to the parent to decide whether or not their child, school pictures or whatever? I know they're boring as hell, but if you're a proud parent and you want to show your friends and family how little Harry's grown up, and look, he's got his school uniform on now, look, he's starting big school and all that kind of thing, then I don't see what the problem is. I mean, obviously, if it's intimate pictures, then that's illegal anyway. So I don't see what the problem would be. Anyway, who am I to criticise Australia or France? Well, yeah, I'm obviously better than both, so I can criticise away. An inclusivity language guide issued to staff by charity Giant Oxfam has raised eyebrows after it urged them not to use the term mother and father. They've refused it as referred to it as colonising English, which is racist, ironically. Almost 3 in 4 people have changed their eating habits in the past 12 months due to rising costs, according to a new Finder study. Close to half of Aussies, 47%, have reduced the amount of takeaway and fast food they buy. I think that's worldwide. I don't think that's just in Australia. I think a lot of people are eating a lot less fast food stuff than what they used to, and a lot less going out as well. Ex-Aussie soldier arrested for alleged war crimes. A former Australian soldier has been arrested in New South Wales and expected to be charged with the war crime of murder. Investigators allege the man murdered an Afghan man while deployed to Afghanistan with the Australian Defence Force. The maximum penalty for the offence is life imprisonment, and if he is guilty, then that should be what he gets. A brazen thief has been caught on CCTV pinching a donation box from behind the barrier at Brook Street Police Station in Melbourne. So you can see him got his hand on the little tin, and the video, it does actually show him sticking it under his coat and then walking out of the police office thing, and there's no one there at all. Australia Post to introduce changing rooms. The company is preparing to open a new concept store later this year. Returning unwanted or ill-fitting items then may become a whole lot easier with Australia Post announcing stores fitted with changing rooms. So customers will be able to try on their online purchases before taking them home, and the first concept store is set to open in Orange in New South Wales. It seems like a good idea. You pick your clothes up, you go into a changing room like you would do in a clothes shop. You try it on, doesn't fit, shove it back in the envelope, give it back to the guy, and it gets sent back from whence it came. Ah, what a nice day. I know what I'll do. I'll rob a charity tub in a police station. Yeah, why not? Obviously don't. An ADF helicopter has crashed into the ocean off the New South Wales coast during a counter-terrorism exercise late last night. The chopper was carrying 10 people, all of whom are safe and well. Historic 4-day week agreement reached. The first 4-day work week has been confirmed for Australian company under a landmark employee bargaining agreement. Full-time employees of Oxfam Australia, a not-for-profit company, can now choose to reduce their working hours without any loss of pay. It's the first such arrangement affecting full-time employees in Australia to be formalised. Now, I'm not sure that's how it's meant to work. I think it's meant to work that you work longer hours, but you only do it for 4 days, so you get 3 days off. Alice Springs locals have issued a desperate plea to the Prime Minister after a night of violent crime which saw a television broadcast centre broken into. I thought it said a television broken. I was going to say that's not very violent, but I suppose in the middle of Australia, in Alice Springs, it might be. We're all scared. We've all had enough. Alice Springs locals are desperate for help. To be fair, they are that far away that the chances are that everyone knows the police if they're already police, and you've grown up with them and all that. So yeah, I'll let him off. It's only Barry. Barry will be fine. You won't do it again, Barry, will you? No, I won't do it again. Okay, we'll let him off then. It's fine. India, not so many for India as well this week, which is a good thing. Has to be said. Right, where are we? There we are. I've got to set this up. 3 terrorists killed in Pakistan by security forces. Pakistani security forces killed 3 terrorists during an intelligence-based operation, which is called an IBO. Who knew? 2 arrested after Delhi cyber bust police fake work from home scheme. A case was registered at the cyber police station of Delhi's outer district on the complaint. It was alleged that while surfing Instagram, he had come across a post about earning huge money daily working from home. We get them all the time. Anyway, 2 people have been arrested for it. Wow. Who knew? Google celebrates Persian New Year, Newrit, with colourful floral doodle, which I think is nice. Google celebrated the Persian New Year with a colourful floral doodle. The doodle highlights this ancient holiday that marks the beginning of spring. They do quite a lot of stuff, Google. There must be someone who's just, well, probably about 10 people. Well, there might be only one there because they're sacking loads, aren't they? There who just does nothing but design these little things that they put up on, like, birthdays of famous people. Einstein or something like that, I don't know. 1 dead, 1 injured after student opens fire in Texas school. Yep, that's Indian news reporting that. Everyone looks at America and goes, Taiwan ex-president to visit China in a historic trip. That's all right. Okay, I misread that when I first got it. But Ma Ying-jeou will visit Zhejiang, Wuhan, and Kazakh, as well as other cities. So is he pally with China? Because that could open a can of worms. Pension reforms. Macron resign. Protesters set rubbish on fire as no confidence vote fails. Macron won a no confidence vote. Meanwhile, back in India, well, in Pakistan, police arrest Imran Khan's nephew and more supporters for attacking security forces. We talked about that last week. Ugandan Parliament passes bill banning identifying as LGBTQ+. Ugandan Parliament on Tuesday passed a law criminalising identifying as LGBTQ. More than 30 African countries, including Uganda, already ban same-sex relationships. Doctors AIM AIIMS Bhopal successfully create woman's new food pipe in rare surgery. The surgery was performed on a female who consumed a corrosive substance at home that severely damaged her food pipe. And then in brackets they put esophagus, which I think is genius. Anyway, hopefully she'll make a good recovery. Florida moves to expand teaching ban on sexual orientation and gender identity. Florida Department of Education is looking to expand its ban on teaching young children about sexual orientation and gender identity issues. When you see interviews of people who have, homosexuals, lesbians, transgender, whatever, and they get asked, how old did you know when you knew, when you were, and they more often than not say under 10. So I don't think necessarily not mentioning it is a good idea. At least if they mention it, they might not say anything, but they might think, oh, maybe I'm normal after all, maybe I am normal. I don't know how it works. But a 6.5 magnitude earthquake strikes Argentina. So yeah, earthquakes all over the place at the moment. Quite a worrying development. Not a lot we can do about it because it's the planet. But that is the news from India, which brings us to, and now, finally, we've got quite a few actually this week. Yeah, we have got quite a few this week. I mean, not all these are funny, which is why I put "and now finally" rather than funny. But it's just stuff that you go, huh? Or you go, at. Let's click on that, click on that, click on that. There we go. Right, so we've got, come on, there we go. Abandoned boat found adrift off UK did have passengers as police probe mystery. Police have revealed that 4 unarmed men were on a boat that was found empty and adrift off the coast of of North Wales in the early hours of Saturday morning. Four unarmed or unnamed men were on a boat that was found empty. Well, there's 4 men on it. It's not. 4 heat waves set to roast Brits this summer, with African plume bringing 35 degrees centigrade. Yes, please. Brits can brace themselves for another summer of heat waves this year, as forecasters say an African plume is expected to blow scorching temperatures into the UK. I cannot wait. I love summer. I hate winter. Giggling perv jailed after he's caught bonking a horse with trousers at ankles. And I didn't know what horses wore trousers, but anyway. A perverted man was caught giggling while having sex with a pony in a field and has been handed an 8-month jail sentence after admitting the vile act in court. And what I like about this is they've covered the eyes of the pony involved as to protect its identity, which I think is really nice and a thoughtful thing to do. Tesco announced huge changes to Club Card as it cuts value of the reward scheme. It cut the value of the reward scheme. It's 1p for every £1 you spend. So in order to get £1 back, you have to spend £100 in store. To cut that even further, Tesco customers are not pleased with the latest news as supermarket giant announced it's cutting the value of its Club Card reward scheme for millions of Brits. I think it also means as well you're not going to get as many deals, because you have to have, in order to get the discount prices, you've got to be a Club Card member. An American living in the UK confused why Brits hang small black bags on their fences. An American living in the UK became baffled as to why Brits like to hang small black bags on fences. They took to TikTok to try and get some answers on the mystery. I dread to think what answers they got. Imagine all of them would be poop. World famous nudist beach rules and world famous nudist beaches rules from no bonking to burying boners in sand. Halover Beach in Florida is one of America's most popular nudist beaches, but ground rules have been set for visiting beaching bums, including what to do if you get an unwelcome boner. Basically, you have to bury it in sand. Now, if you think that most Brits in particular would do that, I think you've got nothing coming. You'd probably cover it with something, like maybe a hat or something. You wouldn't bury it in sand because, let's be honest, sand gets everywhere. Now, America, it's not as much of a problem because a lot of Americans have, how shall I put this, a minor surgery on their lower regions when they're babies, but most Brits don't. And if you get sand in under the bit that Brits have got that most Americans haven't got, I can imagine that'd be painful. So no burying bonus for Brits. Well, what's with the hanging black bags then? All right, okay, yeah, of course you're American, aren't you? What it is, Jay Morris, they have in Britain. If you have a dog and you take it for a walk, you have to keep it on a lead for most of the time, anyway. And when it has a poo, you have to pick up the poo with your hands, but in a bag. Pick them up, turn the bag inside out, and then you've got a poo in the bag, and then you put the bag in a bin. But a lot of people don't put the bag in the bin, they hang it on fences because they can't be arsed walking around with a bag of their dog's poo to put it in a bin. And my argument is, if you can't be arsed to do that, why the have you got a dog? Because this law has been in place for well over 10 years. So anyone's got a dog that's under 10 years old in particular has known about this rule since before they got the dog. So if you're not prepared to pick up your dog's poo so people don't stand in it because you've left it on a footpath or whatever, and dispose of it in a thoughtful way, you shouldn't have a dog. But yeah, that's what it is. It's full of dog poo. It's a dog poo bag. And that's what they're called. They're called poo bags. They are for dogs. Mr. Surround's airliner deliberately flown into mountain by pilots. Investigators cannot explain why China's Eastern Airlines flight crashed into a mountain in southern China in a near vertical dive, despite no hint of any problems with the aircraft. Now, I'm really into aircraft investigation again because I've been watching this program on PBS, which is about recreating. They've got this state-of-the-art flight simulator. It looks like it's out of someone's bedroom. I'll be honest with you, it looks crap. They've even got sports seats like this for the pilots to sit in. I'm like, that's not state-of-the-art flight simulator. But anyway, they recreate what went on and see if the pilots, without knowing what's going on, can save the plane from imminent disaster or actual disaster. And then knowing what's going to happen if they would behave differently and then save the plane. And more often than not, they can't. So the pilots generally are very good. But that one, yeah, does seem a little bit less obvious. This is something that made me laugh. Kids moving their TVs from one room to another. Up to very recently, I had a TV that size, 28-inch TV, and yeah. It was an absolute nightmare, and yeah, you break your back picking them up. Aliens could be hiding deep in Uranus. Shall I reread that? Aliens could be hiding deep in Uranus. Top space boffins believe. Scientists believe that aliens could be hiding in the moons of Uranus in frozen liquid that may hold answers to whether life exists in places other than Earth. Well, if there are aliens living in frozen liquid on Uranus, then that answers the question that yes, there is other life, and I do believe there is other life on other planets. I don't believe we'll ever in thousands of years have contact with them, and I doubt it would be a good idea to contact them either. But yeah, they're hiding in the deep crevices of Uranus apparently. Who knew? Who knew? Parody version of Prince Harry's memoir is in the pipeline, titled Spare Us. Now that's a book I would buy. A spoof of Prince Harry's bombshell memoir, Spare, promises to reveal every shouting match, fistfight, betrayal, teddy bear, awkward hug and tea-stained wedding rehearsal. So that's what Elon's been focusing on. Yeah, the aliens in his in Uranus even. Not is Uranus, that doesn't work. Ready to quit vaping? Are you ready to quit vaping? Nicorette Quick Mist starts to relieve cravings in just 30 seconds to help you quit for good. Nicorette Quick Mist mouth spray contains Nicotet. Stop nicotine vaping ad requires willpower. Always read the label. Basically, they're telling people to it's time to stop vaping. That's obvious. This is a brilliant sign. Spotted in Birmingham to the Worcester Canal. Please keep cygnets and ducklings away from locks and weirs, says that very helpful sign. Yeah. The problem is, birds can't read. So, completely pointless sign. And this is one that all men will, I apologise if you're a woman, but this is one thing that all men... Elon, what's that in Uranus? Oh, just an alien deep inside, yes. Yeah, this is one that most men can relate to. And to be fair, if you've lived with a man, you could probably relate to it as well. Oh, you need to see the whole thing, because otherwise that just looks weird. When you have an hole in your underpants, it's actually an alien off of, I think, Star Wars. But yeah, that's just a brilliant analogy. And you're like, yep, been there, done that. Got the hole in my underpants. Boris Johnson to step up campaigning in his constituency ahead of possible by-election. He's already taken vital first steps. Where is Uxbridge? He's titled in on Google search. Obviously that's where he is the MP for, and the joke is he never goes there. So he wants to get re-elected. He needs to find out where it is. Panic as man burns crumpets. No, it's not me. Don't worry. Don't worry. Everything's safe. I am a crumpet safe. If anything, my crumpets are quite anemic, but that's how I like them. You don't want that in Uranus. No, you don't. Definitely not. Or anywhere near it, to be honest. Leeds millionaire, age 20, has a $100,000 Audi vandalised with very rude insults. And someone sprayed on his bonnet, "Show off virgin." Which I don't think is very rude indeed, but there's probably ruder things written elsewhere on it. But that's just people being spiteful. If the lad who's 20 has raised enough money to buy a car like that, he deserves it, to be fair. I mean, it's an Audi, so he's obviously a dick, but, you know, and drives like a complete prat, but he definitely deserves that. Another great number plate on Pimlico Plumbers Vans, and it says Lavit, as in Manchester they say Avit. Well, here they say Lavit, and that's the number plate on the back of the van. And there's been a couple of them, but that's by far the best one. It's yeah, really good. Show off how rude. Breaking news, Wigan has today entered the record books for being the first town to have more barber shops than people. More to follow. This is a spoof parody channel, but it does make a fair point. However, the barbers at the show has been there for 20 years, 30 years, and as one of the original barbers in Wigan. But yeah, there are just barbers everywhere at the moment, and vape shops. It's embarrassing. A woman squeezed landlord's testicles so hard he died of shock, say the cops. After a row over an electricity bill turned violent, single mum Lymphoma Ossia grabbed hold of a man's testicles and squeezed them until he died. I mean, it's not something I've experienced personally, but I can't imagine it would kill. Oh yeah, okay, then maybe it would. I can't imagine it would kill you, but yeah, how long did she hold on to them for? How hard was she squeezing? I mean, literally, so many questions and no answers. And finally, this isn't a funny story, but still, Putin forces conscripts to stay on the front line with the threat of the bullet in the head. So basically, if they try and go back home, they get executed, which is basically what Stalin used to do. So it just shows how far that army has moved with the times. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what a week that was. And it's an hour shorter than last week. Last week's was a mammoth. It was 3.5 hours long. Ugh. So yeah, thank you very much for your various interactions. Where we at? We had Ben, who went to get some food. We had Annie, who just fell off the planet. Martin Hopkirk, who just said hello and then went. Jay Morris, who's still with us from America. Angela, of course. Luke Williams. Smiley Mac, Paul 1872, Stuart Weir. So yeah, that is it for what a week that was for the week ending the 25th of March 2023. I will see you all again next time for what a week, well, in a week's time, to see what a week that was. Until then, look after yourselves, stay safe, and yeah, bye. You're actually that far behind me that I'm still here. So this is like an extra. People who listen to the podcast, thank you very much. Don't forget to share and let people know about the podcast. Just get it out there. Because I'll be honest with you, podcast isn't doing that well at the moment. So yeah, we're nearly at the end now of the actual broadcast. So yes, I've run out of things to say now. Oh, we haven't had a look at the concurrent viewers. The highest it's been right at the end, which is great. 64, average of 15 minutes, which is good as well. Well, some people watch the whole thing, but yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. It's never going to take over the majority of news shows on TV, but it's not meant to. It's meant to be a bit different. So I'm still going through the names of people here. I don't know whether people are actually still watching this. But according to this, I'm still only at the I'm saying the end now. So I'm gonna cut it any second. Yeah, bye. Bye. Yeah, you've done it. I've said bye.